joys of having chubby cheeks. Welcome to the mental health episode of Onzi in Color with Ghostly. Ghostly, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, I'm Ghostly. I'm Canadian streamer, content creator. I don't actually really even know what else to say. Finishing up my undergrad degree, going off to teachers college after, and we'll see what happens from there.
Possibly a regular on the podcast.
Possibly, you never know.
Oh,
you better get used to this face. You might be seeing more of it.
Possibly. We do make a good team. I can't deny that. We got the chemistry to talk.
I know. Well, I mean, we've been bullshitting for the last hour before.
We procrastinated slightly before starting this recording.
As someone with ADHD, and I specialize in that.
We don't know what I have. I'm just bald mess.
Hey, join the club.
Oh, all right. Where do we want to get started on this? Do you have any points you want to talk about first, or do you want me to bring up stuff first?
God, I don't know. Just honestly, whatever you got going on, start shooting it, and we'll see what happens.
Well, of course, I made some notes. You already got previews of it all.
I know you did. You'd have like fucking 15 pages.
No, not that many. God, it's only 6. Mind you, it's also in very big print, so that's also a thing.
It says 15. Oh, it's only 6.
It's only 6.
Only
it's
6.
only.
It's only half a baker's dozen.
Oh, yeah, it's rough. Okay, it's about half.
I wasn't far off.
You were
By the
not
way
far
we're
off.
talking, it's gonna end up being 15 pages.
Pretty much. So buckle in and hold on and enjoy the ride. Get some popcorn. Get some drinks. You're gonna be here a while.
Hold on to your hats, boys and girls.
This could go completely off topic, or this could be, completely on topic. We don't know yet.
We don't know. We'll find out.
Well, I got some points on, mental health. So I got, the
Alrighty.
mental health and mental illness and mental health disorders. And just a few of those listed. Any thoughts on those? Do you want me to bring them up?
Honestly, like I said, just start shooting it.
Just start shooting it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, me, I'm a squirrel, so gathering thoughts is a little hard some days.
I know. We've talked about this. You're Doug from Up.
Pretty fucking much. All the fucking time.
I'm the same way. I've been told I give golden retriever energy, so I get it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of get that. I totally understand that 100%. Not gonna lie.
Fair enough. Well, on that note, I've talked about it a bit on my personal stream, also on Onzi's stream and stuff. I have ADHD, so that's one that I actually just found out recently. Got diagnosed this past November. It is now August of the following year. And found out that my depression and my anxiety are both comorbid. If I can talk today, that would be great. They're both comorbid with ADHD. So basically, when you have ADHD, it's pretty common actually to have anxiety or depression along with your ADHD because they manifest together. And for me, I actually have both. So I'm like the inattentive and hyperactive type. So I'm a combined type of ADHD because you can have inattentive and then hyperactive. I actually have both. So I will have. I'm a fucking mess and a half. We know this. But yeah, so I can either have, because of my anxiety and depression, they can also manifest in terms of my ADHD with my hyperactiveness or my inattentiveness. So in my inattentive side, I can kind of manifest more towards that depressive side. Whereas with my hyperactive side, I can kind of manifest a little bit more towards that anxiety side. So I can have points where I am like hyper focused on shit if I'm like interested in it. If I'm not, no chance. You are not getting me to do it. Like my brain has to get to it. I cannot force myself to do stuff, which kind of sucks. But
I understand that too, though. I totally
kind of
get
the
that
reality
part
of it, and you just have to find a way to work around it and just deal with it, So that's kind of it about me. I mean, I also have PTSD. I won't really get into that on here. But I do have some PTSD and stuff that I've dealt with
Me
for
as well.
years. Went through years of therapy, stopped going to therapy, ended up coming back to therapy within the last year. So far that's been helping. I'm also on meds. I'm not actually, surprisingly, I'm not on ADHD meds. I'm on antidepressants. So I was on
Makes sense. It's a
antidepressants.
mood stabilizer, so that makes sense.
Well, exactly. When I have that mood stabilization, I can then actually focus on getting my brain to do stuff, you know? So that helps a little bit with that. So it's not a stimulant like you would with a ADHD medication.
Yeah.
It's an SSRI, so a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, and so basically just helps regulate your levels, your serotonin levels, and everything, so that everything kind of goes smooth. But that was more so for my anxiety and my depression because my anxiety was a little bit more prevalent. So they wanted to get that under control first so that we can focus on the ADHD stuff, which
that makes
is
sense though.
a big thing. Yeah, because with my ADHD, well, with all my disorders, we'll put it that way, they do impact my life, my work, my school. Like it impacts a lot of stuff, you know?
Well, exactly.
And that's the thing, like when it starts really impacting like that, that's when you really need to go get some help. And
well,
like,
and
it's
the other thing
okay
too,
to ask for help.
like, I think it's really hard for people to just want to be able to go ask for help because of the stigma of illnesses that are not visual.
Oh, 100%.
Because people look at you and go, you're fine. I get that because of my sarcoidosis. Like, I'm sick. Like, you guys will hear a different voice today because I am actually under the weather and I've been sick for 4 days. And I swear it's just a common cold. If it's still as bad as it has been today, I'm going to get tested for COVID tomorrow just to be on the safe side. But
Fingers crossed,
as far as I
it's not
know,
that.
it's just my sarcoidosis acting up on top of having the cold because my autoimmune issues are fucking out through the roof when I get sick.
Yep.
And people look at me and go, oh, well, it's just a cold, go to work. I'm like, well, no, you don't understand. Like, for me, it's physically draining. Like, you don't see it, but I have a hard time waking up. I have a hard time sleeping. Like,
Well, exactly. It's one of those things that you wouldn't go tell someone who snapped their femur and is in a cast. You wouldn't go tell them to go back to the construction line and go do their job. You wouldn't.
no.
So it's one of those things that mentality kind of needs to be brought over into the mental health side, because mental health is just as valid as physical health.
Oh, it really is.
It's honestly sometimes even more so, you know. Sometimes they do coincide. Back when I was like, what, 16, 17, something like that.
When you're young and dumb. Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. I was playing rep basketball.
Yeah.
So I was playing AAA basketball, and it was the first game of the season. Shit happened. Warm up wasn't going the way I wanted to. I was like, something's not feeling right. Like physically, something is not right. Anyways, game happens, and kid steps on my foot, falls into my knee, and I dislocated my knee. It actually relocated itself, so it bent inwards and then back out.
Still, ow.
And yeah, no, I was literally on the floor. Like I was like fucking like, right? Like I was actually like pounding the floor because I was like, fuck, right?
Yeah, well, that's gonna hurt. Yeah, no. You can swear, it's fine. Have you met me?
Right. I mean, I can also self-censor myself too. So
yeah, you can technically. You have a beat button. I do not. So it's full me.
But yeah, so at that point, I actually strained my LCL, my MCL, my calf, my quad, my hamstring, and my patellar tendon as well was overstretched. They thought I actually tore something at one point. I was in a freaking full leg splint and everything. I was on crutches for a long time before I actually got the MRI results back and found out that it wasn't actually a tear. It was just the way they wrote it in the written report for my MRI. It sounded like it was a tear. Turns out it wasn't, just a really bad sprain and just a little extra fluid that built up around there to kind of protect my knee.
Yeah, that's pretty standard with knee injuries, though.
Well, yeah. And the reason I talk about that is because when I was in grade 10 at that point, I think. Yeah, I think I was in grade 10. I remember my football coach from the year before. I was sitting on the side during my phys ed class because I couldn't participate. I was on crutches. Like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like hobble
Well, exactly.
around, right? Like,
Well, that would be
I couldn't do
entertaining,
anything.
but
Oh, it would have been quite entertaining. I'll tell you that much.
for us dark
But I
humor
saw-
people out there,
Yeah, literally. My offensive line coach, I played defensive line at that point, but the offensive line coach, he came over to me and was like, "Hey, like, how you doing? Like,
yeah,
how's the knee? And I was like, "Yeah, it's okay. It hurts. Like it's gonna hurt, right?"
it's painful, right?
And well, exactly. And he was like, "Okay, well, good. Like, just take it easy, heal up, do your physio, blah blah blah." And he said something that I'll never forget. He was like, "Take care of up here."
Yeah.
Because just because you're hurting down there, it's going to hurt up here too. And it stuck with me because I was like, it did. I was on crutches for so long because I couldn't put any pressure on it. And I started kind of reverting back because I was suicidal. I dealt with a lot of suicidal ideation. I even self-harmed and whatnot. I'm pretty open about that too. And I started to kind of spiral a little bit. And he said that to me, and I was like, shit. Like, he's not wrong.
yeah.
He's actually very right in saying that. And him saying that honestly really helped it was a little bit of not a culture shock kind of deal, but
It was kind of like clicked on that light bulb type thing, like it just kind of opened it up, like, oh yeah, well,
light
shit
bulb moment, right? And it was that just eye opener of like, oh my god, he's right.
Yeah.
Like, I can't just wallow in self-pity in a way, I wasn't doing that, but it was just like, yeah, I really need to focus on keeping my mind right too, because as much as I'm trying to heal my leg, I need to heal my brain too. And it was kind of like one of those light bulb moments, and I was like, damn.
Well, and that's also where that depression likes to sneak in, is when you're at that low moment, right? Like, well, look at me. When I first started my whole content creation career, year and a half, almost 2 years ago. Oh my god. Anyways, the realization that it's going to be 2 years in December. But the whole reason why I started that was because I physically couldn't get off. Like, I was just sitting around gaming, and it was because I was dealing with chest pain so bad I thought I was having mini heart attacks. Like, it was right here. I could feel it. Thought it was my heart. And with my sarcoidosis, if anyone knows anything about it, is you're growing granulomas on your organs. And so when you're sick, your body already builds those around the cold virus.
Mm-hmm.
Mine does it over nothing. So there was a possibility it could have been in my heart. Mm-hmm. I've already had it in my eyes. I've already almost gone blind because of it. Like, I actually got my eyesight back. I used to wear glasses, so that's another fun fact.
Yep.
But I couldn't physically lift anything because the pain was so bad in my side that it would make me collapse, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So grocery shopping, everything like that, because I don't drive, was so tough. But the depression came back hard while I was streaming. And honestly, the only thing that kept me like slightly above water was streaming. Because I had that community. And that's where I, met Ghostly. And, it helped me on my journey to be like where I am now. And I wouldn't change it for the fucking world, to be honest. Because I know a lot of people have this stigma about gaming. About how people just like use it as an escape and to hide away from things, but it's not always the case.
Yep.
I do it to get my social interaction in, like.
Yeah, and for some people, like, they can't get out of the house all the time. They're not in school. They're working all the time. Say they're working a desk job and they don't always have time to go out and socialize.
Don't want to go to the bar, and they don't want to go, like, that's the only thing to go out at nowadays, like.
Well, exactly. At that point, like, sometimes you come home from a day of work, you're exhausted mentally, and you just don't have the energy, you don't have the spoons to go out and socialize. So sometimes sitting on your own, playing some games, whether it's by yourself or with some friends, sometimes it can be the best thing. It can really help your mood, And I say spoons, and I'll talk about that briefly. When I say spoons, it's actually like an energy level.
Yeah.
There was a study a while back, and also an article write up. I don't remember who wrote it off the top of my head, but it was basically a term for chronic illness in terms of actual like physical illnesses. And over the years, it's actually been brought over to mental health.
Mental health, yeah.
And so basically, every day, say you have, I don't know what number they use, but say you have 10 spoons,
Yeah.
right? Every task you do is going to take up a spoon, right? When you have a chronic illness, say it's chronic back pain or migraines or depression or anxiety or something that might take 1 spoon, it's going to take 2, 3, 4 spoons.
Yeah.
Right? So waking up in the morning, that might take a person a spoon. Might not even take a person a spoon, you know?
Maybe half a
It's
spoon.
easy for them to get up. Maybe even half a spoon, right? Someone waking up, maybe 2 spoons right there.
Yeah.
You have to go, say you have to take a shower either in the morning or at night. One person might take them a spoon. That might take you 4.
Depending on your day.
You have to go run. Well, exactly. You run errands. Oh, well, I have to go do the mail. I have to go do some groceries. Okay, that's going to take 5 spoons.
Definitely for
wait.
someone with
already-
socialized anxiety.
With social anxiety, right? Oh, wait, I already used 6 spoons today. I only have 4 spoons left. This is going to take me 5 spoons. Crap. Well, I guess I'm going to have to borrow a spoon from tomorrow.
Yep.
Now, what's happening tomorrow? You're starting behind the 8 ball.
You're starting out
Right.
drained. You're starting out exhausted. You're starting out already
Exactly.
waking up feeling
So you're
extra
already
tired.
borrowing that energy. Exactly. You're borrowing that energy from tomorrow to use today so you can just power through the rest of your day. But then you're starting that next day drained.
Yeah.
So with some people using spoons using that spoon temperament
It's
is a really
that
good idea to kind of gauge yourself.
more about giving an actual solid item to
To
it.
associate with what
Yeah.
you're experiencing.
Thank you. Words are hard
And
today.
people, you're fine. But people like they actually used physical spoons when they were talking about this. Hence why people use spoons when talking about this.
That makes
so
sense.
It's called spoon theory. That's why they call it spoon theory. So if you're ever interested, go online, search it up. It's literally called spoon theory, and you'll find.
I've
like,
heard a little
many
bit about it
articles
on another
Yeah.
podcast.
And we already know which one that is.
It's like you know me or something.
Oh my god! It's like we talk about this.
I know, right?
Who would have thunk?
Not me.
But I know, right? But yeah, so when I'm trying to explain someone, especially with anxiety, depression, and ADHD, that because they're chronic, it really helps me help them to visualize what I'm experiencing.
That makes
so
sense.
that they can understand what I'm going through and be like, oh, I never thought about it like that. You know, it's not just that you're lazy. It's that your brain is fighting against you and you're constantly having to fight against it. So it's one of those things that, you know, it just shows that it's not just, oh, you don't feel like doing anything, you're lazy, blah, blah, blah. It's no, I physically cannot even force myself to do it because my body won't do it.
Well, exactly.
Right? So that's the whole lazy thing is one of the things I hate the most. So I hate
especially,
people calling other
like,
people lazy.
There are people out there that are just lazy. There really
I
are.
totally agree with that.
Like, there
Yeah.
are people out there that just don't want to do the work. They're like,
100%.
I'm content. I don't fucking care. And as long as you're content with your life, fucking do you. Like,
Well, exactly.
your life is not my problem. And I hate to sound like a bitch, but it's the truth. I gotta look out for me and my life.
And that's the thing. You can't let, that's another thing. You can't let other people impact your own happiness and your inner peace.
Well,
So
exactly.
the moment you do that, downhill.
Well, and not only that, taking on too many other people's problems
Yes. Oh
can
God.
hardcore affect your mental health.
Yep.
I am number one guilty 100% for that one.
I am guilty on beyond belief of that. I'm a big empath. So I take a lot of people's issues on as my own. I know you're the same, Onzi.
But the nice thing is, actually, I can say between me and you, we have never done that to each other, really. Like, we vented,
no, we haven't.
but we haven't taken on each other's problems. Like, if I say it to you,
because we realize.
Yeah, exactly. And if I say to you, I need to just vent, you're like, yeah, okay, vent away. That means I'm coming to you, and I don't need you to problem solve for me. I just need someone to hear me.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing with communication. Like, it could tie a little bit into relationships. I won't get into that, but having
any relationship, really.
Well, any relationship. So maybe I will go a little bit into it, but having either that friendship, personal, like significant other, or even your parents, say,
yeah,
right? Having that clear indication of, okay, I'm coming to you because I just need to get this off my chest. I'm not trying to figure it out right now. Just hear me out, validate what I'm saying, and we'll be fine.
Exactly.
You know? But then there's also some people who try and fix it when that's not what you need. So having that clear communication will also help your mental health and realize that, okay, I can get this off my chest. I'm not going to have to get frustrated by this. Like, it'll work out, right? Because once you get frustrated about it, it's going to impact your mental health, and then you're going to start spiraling, and it's not going to end up good. So having that clear communication and clear boundary. Well, exactly, right? So that way, instead of taking 3 or 4 spoons and communicating this frustration or anxiety or whatever you're feeling, you're taking less spoons.
Yeah.
It's gonna take maybe 1 or 2 instead of 3 or 4.
Oh,
right? Because it's taking less energy to get your emotions out, because you're not trying to fight against what someone else has to say.
100%.
So, yeah, that's what I feel about that kind of thing, you know?
Well, and realizing, like, say that not everybody communicates the same way you do is something people need to fucking understand, and stop blaming everybody for somebody not understanding them.
100%.
It's the biggest thing I've seen so much. And now that I've read also a little bit about it, I kind of get it more now. Like, I do, because it's like, oh shit, I was that person.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've educated myself a little bit, it's kind of like, hey, and I'm not going to say I'm fully educated on it yet, because I'm still fucking reading the book, but, you know, life.
Well, everyone's always learning something, you know? And it's like, you from 20 years ago are going to communicate different from you are now, right?
Well, exactly.
Even from a year ago, you're communicating different to how you are now.
And it goes the same thing with everyone. Your communication style is actually huge.
100%. It's a big thing that I highly recommend people to do, is to figure out your communication style, because once you have that, you'll better understand how your brain works.
Yeah.
And it'll honestly help you get your thoughts and feelings across more efficiently. And
especially like when you're battling, like, say, depression, and you're like, hey, I need just to be alone for a minute. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But I just need to gather myself over here. But being able to express that, so people are like, oh, hey, well, no, you're acting weird. I'm going to come invade your bubble. No. Yep. I know I'm depressed, and we all know this, but it's just like, hey, I need that time to breathe. Mm-hmm. I just need to gather my thoughts and work on my mental health for right now.
Exactly. And I know someone who when there's an issue, or they have a problem or something going on, say it's like making them anxious or making them depressed or whatever, they need to talk about it right away. Yeah. That's how they deal with it. That's how they cope with it. That's how they process it, right? Whereas, say myself, sometimes I just need 5-10 minutes, gain my train of thought, and then I'll start talking about it. And then we'll have that in-depth conversation. Well, exactly. And sometimes you need to tell people that that's what you need, and say, hey, give me 10 minutes. Let me cool down. If say you're having an argument or something, your emotions are high, give that little time frame of just saying, hey, I can't talk right now. Give me a little bit of time. I'll come to you when I'm ready. Or say, hey, give me an hour. Let me calm down. Let me kind of decompress, and then we can start talking about it, you know? So having that clear communication. Well, exactly. You need to process, and everybody processes everything differently.
Oh, exactly.
Right? No two people are going to be the same. Even
especially if you also have like the mental health going on. Like, if you're having issues and then you're dealing with that on top of it, like, that's a whole fucking mess.
You find any two people, they're gonna process differently. You find two of the most similar people, they're gonna process differently. Nobody processes the same way.
Everyone's brain is different, so.
Well, exactly, right? And that kind of ties in a little bit to ADHD a little bit. Like my brain's hardwired differently, right? Like I will skip from one thing to another. Someone will talk to me about a dog and I'll talk about a movie. And they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
well,
we've had that."
How did you? Yeah, we have. We literally had this conversation 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
We started talking about Onzi's dogs, and we started talking about how the dogs were so cute, and then I was saying how Onzi gives Doug energy from Disney Pixar's Up.
Well, you know me, I'm a squirrel, so gathering thoughts is a little hard some days.
I know, we've talked about this. You're Doug from Up.
Pretty fucking much. All the fucking time.
I'm the same way. And then we started talking about mental health. And then we started going on to relationships or something.
Yeah, and then there was another part there where, you know, we were talking about something, and then I saw your tattoos and went, "Oh yeah, I'm getting that."
Oh yeah, tattoos. Yeah, and then we started talking about tattoos for 15 minutes. So with ADHD, like I say our in general, I'm not trying to speak for everyone, but as a general kind of broad way of explaining this, our brains are hardwired differently.
Yeah.
And we cannot think about things the same way that most people do. So typically how a lot of people within either the autism spectrum or ADHD, we kind of describe ourselves as neurodivergents.
Yes.
Right. Whereas neurotypicals is people who don't typically have ADHD or autism and usually have more of a focused train of thought. Ours can be everywhere. Right.
Also, for people that don't have any of those issues, also are able to just get up and brush their teeth and do it as a daily habit automatically. Yeah. Not gonna lie. I have to fucking remind myself some days to fucking go and do that because my body's just like, hey, just get up.
I've literally sent reminders on my phone to brush my teeth sometimes because you don't always remember.
No.
Like you say, oh yeah, I'll remember. No, you're not.
No.
No, you're not. It's not going to happen. Hell,
I didn't realize my brain worked that way.
Take my medication, you know? Yeah. And sometimes you just need that extra little bit of motivation, you know?
I 100% agree.
Like I have a friend who calls me once every 2-3 weeks, tells me they're coming over in half an hour. I'm like, okay, cool. I start cleaning my apartment. K, like I got to get this shit clean, take the garbage out, wash the dishes, blah, 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 do what I got to do. Hey, when are you going to be here? You said you were going to be here 15 minutes ago. Oh, dude, I was never planning on coming. What? Oh, it's funny how you told me to call you every few weeks and just tell you I'm coming over. And you always seem to forget that.
It's to make
I
you
got
clean.
that idea. Yeah, I got that idea from a TikTok, actually. I'm trying to remember who it was. But I got that idea from a TikTok. That'll come to you
at 3 in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It comes to me at 3 in the morning when I'm talking.
Hey, this is it.
Literally, that's what's going to happen. I swear to God. I'm going to talk to Onzi and I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, remember that thing I was talking about on the podcast? Yeah, this was it. That's how my brain works. I remember it at 3 in the morning when I'm having a very vivid dream. I'm like,
well, thankfully, you know, your 3 in the morning is not my 3 in the morning either. So, you know, there's that.
Oh, God. Yeah. No, I get it. Oh, I have family in Europe and they're like 6 hours ahead. So it's like, oof.
Well, I was going to tell you yesterday. I was going to, instead of saying, I'll message you when I get up, which I totally forgot to fucking do. So I'm glad you messaged me.
Oh, I know you did. That's why I messaged you.
But I was going to tell you to message me when you get up. And I went, wait a minute. No, no, that bitch is going to message me at like 7 in the morning, my time. Fuck that shit. Right.
She's going to start spamming Onzi and then she'll be like, what the fuck is going on?
I'd be like, bitch, I just went to bed an hour ago. I couldn't sleep. And then I got up at 1 o'clock. So, you know.
Yeah, honestly, though. But that's another thing people don't talk about a lot is mental health and sleeping.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. The amount
On
it fucking impacts your sleep. Oof.
I
I wouldn't be
find
surprised
it's
if I got diagnosed with sleep apnea.
let's not talk about that. So this bitch got diagnosed with sleep apnea. Do I have the
Oh,
machine?
man.
No. Can I afford the machine? No. Do I want to deal with the fucking bullshit of sizing the fucking thing and putting it on my face every night? No. And
Oh,
there's
God,
mental
no.
health issues for you right there. Sensory, man.
Yep.
I can't tell
Yep.
you. Like, I tried.
Oh,
She put the fucking mask on my face, the big one, and I looked at her and went, get this off my face. Get it
Oh,
off
yeah.
my face. And she's just
Well,
like,
that's the
nope. I'm
thing.
like, nope. So she put the little nose
Yeah,
one on. That
um,
one's not so bad.
yeah.
Just saying.
The nose one isn't too bad. Yeah, when I got my wisdom teeth done, I was actually really fucking anxious because I was like, I'm gonna get fucking knocked the fuck out because I just got general anesthetic, right?
Yeah.
So I was like I was put out for that, right? And I thought it was just gonna be the full face thing, and I was like, oh my god, right? No, it was just the freaking nose thing, and I was like, oh, okay, sweet.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah. Yeah, they put the nose thing on, and it was like the two tubes, right? Like thick ass tubes, and it goes "Mwah," right.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we're injecting you with the sedative, and I was like, okay. And they knocked me out, and I was like, I was out in like 2 seconds flat. Like I was talking to them, and mid word, I just went, just knocked
Yeah.
out.
So when I got my wisdom teeth pulled, they couldn't knock me out because I thought I was pregnant, and turns out I was pregnant. So that was fun. By the way, I have a
ooh.
crossed nerve in my mouth.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh
that's
yeah,
not
yeah. No, that did not feel very friendly in my mouth. So they had to
Oh,
freeze the
I
other
bet
side to get
not.
the other side to freeze, and yeah,
good. Oh
yeah.
yeah,
My upper
that's not
jaw's a
good.
bitch. It's up here. It's like my upper half
Yeah.
too. No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I had my teeth were actually, instead of my wisdom teeth going down, they're actually impacting. So
Mine
it was
one
actually
was
really
growing
bad.
this way, and one was growing backwards.
Ouch. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
mine were both growing like kind of down at an angle,
Ooh.
and my bottom ones were growing up at an angle. So they were, but all four were actually impacted.
I still have these
and so it
ones.
was kind of one of those things that like I actually had to get them out. Like it was not a question of like if, it was like when. Like
Yeah.
you need to get these out, otherwise your whole mouth is going to be terrible.
See, they
But,
left my bottom ones because they said they were fine. This one's starting to
Yeah.
come through now, and I can't tell if it's coming through straight, but it's not hurting me. So, it's still
Well, that's
it's
good.
there.
But yeah, no, like when I had my wisdom teeth out, I was like freaking bedridden. Like I obviously couldn't do anything, just like
Yeah.
anyone else, right? But I remember that was the worst shit ever because I was stuck in bed and I was like, I can't do anything. Help. You
I
know?
walked out of there and I walked away because they didn't knock me out, though.
See, I woke up and I felt fine actually. I mean, I was like a little bit like I was barely swollen, but I obviously had all the gauze and stuff, and I just
So you
slept
feel like
on
your
the way
face is
home.
like out to fucking here.
Oh god, yeah. It was funny though because I didn't actually swell all too much. I did a lot of ice packs and stuff, and
Yeah.
I didn't actually swell way too much.
I didn't
It
swell
was-
too much
it was
either.
like barely anything. Like it was maybe from like here to here.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
it was
my
like
face
practically
wasn't.
not.
I got chubby cheeks anyway, so it really didn't make much of a difference. But
Same.
the joys of having chubby cheeks.
Yep,
Wow, that derailed real quick, didn't it?
it really did.
The other thing people actually don't realize, I don't think, is about how much depression and all that actually and mental health affects your sex drive. That's something that's not talked
Oh.
about.
We can talk about that.
Yeah, and I went 4 years without any of it, so I understand that completely.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
That
Yeah,
is
two
something
different
that people don't
perspectives
talk about, though. Like,
Yeah.
people don't realize how much that shit actually affects you. So when someone is actually saying to their partner, hey, I don't want to do this because I don't feel like it, maybe it's mentally.
Oh, 100%. Like, for me, and I'm sure it's fairly similar for other guys. It's more so my anxiety than my depression. So talking from an anxiety standpoint, you start getting in your own head. And at that point you can't really keep the little soldier standing, right?
No, I understand that. Even as a
yeah.
woman, I get that.
Yep. So, you kind of have a hard time, and that means some guys don't last as long,
Yeah.
And that's okay. It happens, At that point, it might be easier for you to to actually get doing it because you're more motivated. But for me, like I'm on SSRIs, so like I'm on antidepressants, and for me, sometimes it takes a little bit of more effort. But I also find that when I do have that intimate time, I last longer too, which is kind of funny.
Well, I think that's because
you're
the mood stabilizers and stuff like that help with that, right? A little bit.
well, exactly,
It's
right?
just going to make it take a little bit longer because the fact there is also a drug in there trying to
exactly
fix everything or keep it a little bit more at bay.
Well, 100%. And some people, like I've done research and reading on this. Like obviously, when I went on antidepressants, I've been on two different antidepressants. I was on a generic of Zoloft, which is a fairly popular antidepressant, which can also be used for anxiety and panic disorders, which I have both. And then I ended up deciding to try and go a more natural route, which didn't really work out for me. It wasn't really helping. It was kind of spiking here and there. And I was like, you know what? I think I need to go back on meds because I need that little extra bit of help.
Yeah.
And I found in turn of going back on meds, I'm on a different med now. I think it's called Cipralex is like the actual brand name.
Okay.
But I'm on a generic of that too because it's cheaper.
Usually.
And the generic's always cheaper. Exact same chemical compound. It's just the fact you're not getting the brand name on the bottle, right? And at that point, like, who cares if it's doing the same job? It doesn't matter.
As long as it's doing what it's supposed to, and you're not getting any bad side effects, then 100%.
Well, exactly.
And everything obviously has side effects.
Yeah, I stopped going to therapy, went back to therapy, and was like, okay, you know what? I need that little extra bit of help right now, so that I can keep going with these what's it called, strategies, you know, and kind of get my head right. But yeah, like in terms of going back on meds, which isn't a bad thing, by the way, but I will say it's not a solution. It's a bridge to help you get there, but it's not the solution.
It's a bridge to help you learn the tools to get there. Unless you're have a mental disorder that you actually need to be on meds regularly. And I'm going to state that because I know there are many out there that you actually have to be on meds regularly.
There are. Yep. So there's two different meds for depression or panic disorders. So you can go on SSRIs, which are like your once daily kind of thing. And just kind of levels everything out. Or you can go on your benzodiazepines, which are basically you take them as you need them when you feel a panic attack coming on. But the thing is, those are kind of what's it called? When it drops down and sedative. That's what it is. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm trying to catch you there, but my brain went to downers. You said down, and my brain went squirrel. Downers. No, wrong thing. Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Benzos are like a sedative. So basically, the reason why I personally didn't go on those, and this is not saying anything against them. Everyone, I highly recommend you do your research and choose what's best for you. But for me, being in school and working, I can't take the risk of taking a medication and having the rest of my day as a write-off. Like I won't be able to do anything the rest of the day. So that's why I ended up choosing the SSRI route in the daily, because I can still function normally.
Yeah, you can still live a full life and still do stuff and not be feeling like you're stuck to the couch and not being able to fucking move.
Exactly. And
which, mental disorders do that to us anyways, so really.
Well, exactly. So I was like, why am I going to double down on that? Right.
Exactly.
So that's exactly why I went the route I did, and kind of tying back, like it honestly helped my relationship with my family, even though I don't always have the best relationship with my family. It's a little bit dicey. I'll go into that a bit later, but it was really affecting my work and personal life and my relationship and my sex life too, So I wasn't always interested in sex, and sometimes I was a little bit hypersexually active in terms of like I wanted to have sex more often than I was. But this kind of leveled it out, because I'm kind of a little bit in a high-low libido relationship.
Yeah.
So like I had a higher libido than my girlfriend did. And this honestly kind of helped close the gap. And I'm finding that I don't want it as much, but then when it does happen,
It's a good thing.
nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's good. And that's another thing is when you go on antidepressants, it's not that you will, but it's highly likely, let's put it this way,
Yes.
highly likely that you'll have some performance issues, whether it's keeping everything functioning, we'll put it that way. I'm trying not to get too graphic.
Yeah.
Whether it's just trying to keep everything functioning or that you can't, you know, sometimes you need a little extra help, and say we go to the well-known Viagra, and
Yes.
sometimes you can get that to help.
Or get your hormones checked.
That too. That's
Which,
another thing.
by the way, is fucking hard to do in Canada.
It really is.
I was just looking into that because I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I have sarcoidosis. I have enough health issues that I should probably get my hormones checked.
Yep. I have a friend
Vancouver,
who was dealing
dude.
with this. Yep.
And even at that, it's just like,
yeah. No, I had a friend who was dealing with some stuff and they wanted to get their hormones checked, and it was next to impossible.
yep.
Like, I don't even remember what they had to go through, but I just remember it took them months to finally get through to it.
So all of you
So-
people in the US, I envy you right now because you guys can go find specialists. Not a problem.
Oh no, not a problem at all.
Here
But,
it's hard because it's not a specialized
is.
thing in Canada, unfortunately.
Yep.
But you know,
Yeah.
free medical, which actually is not 100% free. It only depends on if you're
really
actually
not.
on the free medical.
It also depends
And I
on
think
your,
that's per
your personal
province.
coverage. Per province, it's different, and also it depends on your personal insurance too. You
See,
know, like whether your
I just have the
dental, psychotherapy, and all that
provincial.
gets covered. Gotcha.
So MSP is
See-
what I have.
Right. So what we have in Ontario, it's called OHIP.
Yeah.
So the Ontario Health Insurance Plan, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that are covered.
There
I
is.
will give them that. There are a lot of things that are covered. You know, I got, I think, antibiotics when I had my wisdom teeth out, and I think those were actually covered, or something along those lines. I'm probably mistaken because it was a couple of years ago now.
Here, majority of antibiotics are covered. You don't usually have to pay
Yep.
for them here. Any psych meds are not.
Yep, psych meds here aren't either. That's why I went with generic instead of the brand name, because it would
It's
have, I
cheaper.
think, been about twice as much at my apartment, which for those of you who know me and watch my stream, you'll know I'm in a different location. than
Very
my
much
hometown.
so.
I'm in my hometown right now, but my own apartment, I bought it. I'm renting out 2 of my 3 rooms. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. I'm renting
Exactly.
out 2 of my rooms. Thank God I have good tenants. Mind you, the last tenant I have, oh my God, drove me up the fucking wall. Like, oh my God. Like, I'm talking fucking sensory overload, dude. This kid was quiet as all shit, right?
Yeah.
But you know how he made his fucking pasta?
God.
He would snap it. The fucking psychopath.
I can't do that.
No.
My mom used
And
to
you
do
know,
that, and
I
it
can-
drove me nuts.
Oh, it drives me up the wall. And I could always tell when he made pasta because I'd always find like little pieces of noodle everywhere after. And he
Oh my
would never
God.
clean it up. I would clean it up after him.
Yeah.
And 3 days later, there'd be more. So that was almost like a freaking sensory overload thing. I was like,
That would
this
drive
is-
me insane.
Ugh. It was driving me up the wall, you know? But thank
I'm
God
sorry,
he moved out.
but-
He's officially out as of,
Soon.
he moved out as of like a month ago.
Oh, there you go. That's not so bad.
So
But
actually,
noodles,
couple
long
weeks,
noodles are
but
not meant to be broken in half.
They're not. You get
If
get
they
a
were
fucking
supposed
bigger
to.
pot, man.
If they were supposed
You
to,
get a bigger pot.
or
That's what you're
you
supposed
just,
to do.
wait till they're soft at the other end and squish them in. That's what I do.
And you
When
twist
you
them
only
in.
got that, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now we've turned
Fuck,
into the cooking show.
I don't have a giant ass pot, right? I don't have
Oh,
a
I
freaking
do.
4-liter pot.
Well,
I need
you
one
don't
of those
need a
though.
4-liter. Well, yeah, I guess mine is a 4-liter. It's about like yay tall, I guess.
You don't
two
need.
handles.
Oh, okay, I guess I have one.
Well, I had to think about that for a minute. I'm like, No.
Yep,
When you
yep.
said 4 liter, my mind went to, like big, like
Oh,
crab cooking
I bought
pot,
one
like
of
you take to the fucking beach and
those
you put crab. Yeah.
crawfish pots that
Yeah.
you see down in Louisiana or something. Yeah. Or New
Yeah, we used to
Orleans or
take
something.
those on the
Yeah.
boat and go crabbing and then like scoop
Oh,
up
that'd be
ocean water
great.
and put it on the campfire and like cook the
I
crab in it that
miss
way.
that shit though.
Oh, I love it. I miss
like,
it.
I miss fishing in general. And honestly, I used to do a lot of fishing and I found it was almost meditative.
It is.
Honestly.
It really is.
Because I mean, mind you, there's also fly fishing versus like your regular real fishing and
Yeah,
whatnot.
I
Like,
miss the ocean.
I'm not a freaking fisherman or some pro fisherman guy or whatever. So like I don't actually know the proper terms, but I remember going before I was 16 because once in Ontario, at least, I don't know how it works in BC, but in Ontario, once you turn 16, you actually need a fishing license.
Yes, you do. Here too.
I never got one. So I need to do that at some point, and I
Yes.
actually need to buy a new rod because my
And-
fishing rods are fucking done.
For people who don't know, they have to be renewed pretty much every year
Yeah, every year, every other year, something like that.
because the fishing tags change and you always have to get tags.
Yep.
And sometimes you need to renew your license. I used to sell licenses here in BC. So, and
I
don't
don't
go
know.
to another province and go fishing. It's more
'cause
expensive
good
for you to
luck.
buy the tags here.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Because you
But,
need to you need like the province license to go fishing in that province.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I bring up fishing because I had someone who had a lot of mental health issues. I had a good coworker of mine does fly fishing, goes out
Oh,
randomly.
that would be amazing.
Goes out randomly, has his freaking waders on, the overalls, right?
love it.
Goes, brings his freaking rods. He has this whole setup in his car, and he just fishes them through the top of the car, and it's like almost like a little rack inside the top roof.
Oh,
And
that's
he just
cool.
he just pulls out a rod. Okay, we're using this one today. Just goes, right?
And most people
But
that do that
It was
are catch
very
and release.
meditative for him. Well, exactly, and that's the thing, right? Like you got to find something that's a release for you, right? Like for me, music is my release.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's listening to or playing music, if you couldn't tell by the records on my wall
No.
and the soundproofing on my wall.
No.
Oh my God, who would have thunk?
You know.
But oh my God, it's like I'm almost in school for music or something.
Maybe.
Who would have thought? But it's one of those things that honestly you really should find an outlet. Whether it's you have anxiety or depression or any other number of the hundreds of mental health I don't want to say issues because I feel that's a little insensitive. But
well, they're disorders. So mental health disorders or
thank you,
illnesses.
that's what I'm looking for. Mental health illnesses
and
or
it needs to
disorders.
stop being like it's stigmatized to be a bad thing because really, it's the only way to describe it
Yeah.
without sounding rude.
It's a disorder. It's an illness. It really is. And like I was talking about before with spoon theory, it's chronic. It's debilitating.
And they
The
actually
amount of
say
times
nature helps.
it does.
Being out in nature
Hell,
helps.
Oh, I'm not kidding. Go for a walk. Go out for 30 minutes.
Oh,
Go
I
out
love
for an
walking.
hour. Yeah. I like randomly, if I'm feeling like absolute garbage when I'm back in my apartment, I go for an hour walk. I'm like, forget it. I drop my phone. I don't bring anything, and I just go for a walk.
I'm a
Sometimes-
bad little white girl and I go walking at nighttime.
Are you kidding me? I go for walks at 1 a.m. to 7-Eleven.
That's me. But I prefer it because I'm in such a small town. I literally know all the riffraff. Like, it's such a small town.
Yeah.
But, like, there's no one out.
Oh, yeah.
So to go
honestly,
for a
like-
walk, it's peaceful. It's quiet. And other than my child just, being my kid and talking my ear off. But it gets her talking to me. It's our way of getting her away from the electronics, having
that's
our
great.
decompression.
And that's great. Some people need that, And like, it's not even like I said, like, I'm not the perfect person. I don't leave my phone at home all the time.
No, neither do
But like sometimes if I need to really unplug, then I will. But otherwise, I'll bring my phone along with me. I'll have one earbud in or have one side of my headphones on, and I'll have some music playing just as a little bit of background noise. So I don't feel like I'm alone,
Yeah.
and I just go for a walk, breathe in that fresh air, and it's like literally scientifically proven to help and regulate your hormones, right?
And everything.
And your brain chemicals and conditioning, right? Because you're getting that fresh air. You're not breathing in air that you've breathed inside all day, right? So
yeah, I feel that right now.
I do too. I get it.
I'm waiting for that sun to get off that window a little bit more so I can open it and turn on that fan and then like put this fan out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that way I can just like get some fresh air flow going.
Yeah. I mean, like hell, like I take my dog for walks like in the morning and at night. So I go out for a couple walks a day, you know?
Yeah.
And even if walking isn't your thing and you want to get active, try a sport. Do a sport of some sort. You don't have to do it like competitively. Do it recreationally.
Or
right?
if you're not into sports, honestly, go find a nice park nearby, grab a book, go sit at the park underneath a tree and read.
Well,
Take a picnic with you. Put on some earbuds, listen to music and read a book. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Also be safe. Make sure you're keeping an eye on your surroundings. Yes. Obviously, make sure people know where you are. Don't just randomly disappear on people because then, you know, things happen. Weird people are weird out there and they're dangerous, guys. So, you know, be careful.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, and pretty much.
Make sure you let people know where you are.
Women, if you're going out for walks by yourself at nighttime, that is not safe.
It is
not.
We
live in a world where women are definitely not safe walking alone.
It is not.
So find a walking buddy.
Please.
I have my 14-year-old, but you know, hey, it's better than nothing. Sometimes I convince the nephew to come with me.
Yep.
Very rare. I got him to come out twice.
But as I was saying with kind of sports and stuff, I stopped basketball because, like I said earlier, I injured my knee.
Yeah.
You know, so I couldn't really do sports anymore. You know, like I could, but my doctor literally told me one more good blow to my knee in the right way and I'm getting surgery.
You don't want surgery.
And I didn't even tear anything. Right.
You do not want surgery.
No. And it's expensive as all shit.
Yeah.
And two, the toll it takes, not only just physically, like after trying to recoup and trying to get everything back in working order, but then also your mental health too. Right. Yeah. Like I said, when you injure yourself and you're not able to do everything you used to do, it really impacts up here. Right. So what I did was well, exactly. Right. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I know you know this, but like after I stopped playing basketball competitively at AAA, I ended up starting to go to the gym. I became a gym rat. Like I worked at a gym. Oh wow. Yeah. I'll find a picture for you later and I'll send it to you. But I was.
See, guys, this is the genuine shock look on my face of Ghostly going to the.
I've never told her this before. You guys are getting a first peek. But I literally was a fucking gym rat. Like I was in 6, maybe 7 days a week, depending. Like I usually took Sundays off. But I was in there like 5 days a week. I was working at a gym. I wasn't a personal trainer or anything. I worked the front desk, booking appointments and greeting customers and all that stuff, doing all the fun gym stuff.
The funner stuff. Yeah, in my opinion, that's more of a me job.
Oh yeah, but yeah, no, I worked at a gym and I was working out almost every day. My knee felt better. I felt better. I lost quite a bit of weight actually at that time.
I bet your mental health was better too.
Uh-huh. Now you see where I'm going with this. Yeah. My mental health was better too because I was staying active and because I was getting all my energy out. So all my anxiety and ADHD stuff was being left in the gym. So I was able to focus better even.
Yep.
Right. And at that point, I dropped down to I lost weight. I felt better about myself mentally, but also physically too. And because I felt physically better, I looked at myself in a more positive light.
Yeah.
And overall, mentally and physically, I just felt better. I mean, I dropped down. I think my optimal weight was 210 at, I think, 11.9% body fat.
I don't understand those numbers, but I'm going to nod my head.
So I'm 6'3",
Yeah.
Okay, so for all those people
Tall
that
motherfucker.
use
I'm a short shit. I'm like a
for
foot
all
tall,
those
shorter.
people that use a metric system, I'm like around 191 centimeters, something like
I
that.
don't use that system.
But yeah, I know. I don't use that either. But so typically like your optimal body weight is roughly around 20 to 30%.
Okay.
That's like your body fat percentage. That's like your optimal body fat percentage, depending on if you're a guy, girl, blah, 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 whatever. Depends on hormones and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because women typically need a higher body fat percentage than men because it actually protects their vital organs and everything.
Yes.
Right. So I obviously, like, guys don't really need that much so in order to function properly, but I wasn't competing, but I was like kind of friendly competition, we'll put it that way. It wasn't like professional competition,
Yeah.
but friendly competition with other staff at the gyms. And so I ended up deciding, fuck, I'll compete with them, kind of thing. We'll just compete against each other and get in who can see who can get in the best shape and blah, blah, blah. I mean, mind you, I didn't even have a six pack and I was at 11.9% body fat. And I still felt at my best that I had in forever. Mind you, I looked thin as all get out, but as I've gotten older, I've also filled out a little bit facially, and my chests have kind of broadened a bit, you know, or my shoulders have broadened a bit. But like, I found going to the gym really helped me. And at one point, I stopped going to the gym because I ended up losing that job. My manager was honestly a huge jerk because she was the assistant manager when she hired me, but then she became the general manager. She ended up letting me go because apparently it didn't look like I wanted to work there or whatever. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I'm here every time. I show up early. I'm on time. I'm never late. I stay after I'm even supposed to be because I'm trying to help get stuff done. You know, they'd call me in on a whim because they need someone to cover for someone. And I was the first call, you know? So a bunch of political BS, but like political BS. And I was like, whatever, it's fine. And I ended up stopping going to the gym, put on a lot of weight, ended up getting a little bit of it off, but then COVID hit. And that's another thing. I'm sure everyone put on weight during COVID. Like, let's be real. Like, I'm sure like there's probably not many people.
I was outside more.
Fair enough.
I had a field behind me. Like, I was going for walks. Like, I was not like going to stores or anything. I was out walking because
that's the thing.
Was
I live
work.
in the suburbs. I live in the suburbs, so there's a lot of people, and it was kind of like stay inside. So
there's like 3,000 people in my town, so it's like, eh. There's not very many.
There's a lot more than that here.
But that was the one activity that people were allowed to do during COVID, so everybody was out walking. Yeah. So we were going for walks all the time because why the fuck not?
Yeah.
My work got pissed off of me because I was off because I have high risk on the scale for catching COVID with my sarcoidosis. But technically I wasn't out with people, my immediate people, and I was out walking. So
yeah, see, you were saying you have like 3,000.
Yeah,
I have just over 205, almost 206,000.
Yeah, see, that's a big difference.
So big difference. So
there's
we
a
can really
hayfield
go
behind my trailer. Okay, I live downtown. I am like 5 minutes from the mall. There's a hayfield behind me.
See, my
an actual hayfield.
My grandparents used to own a fruit farm.
Yeah.
Right. They supplied fruit for some major like retailers. Yeah. Right. And they had, I don't even know how many acres. Mind you, this was years ago.
It was probably hectares, to be honest.
Oh no, it was acres, dude.
Hectares are bigger.
Like are they? Yeah, probably hectares. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. No, I haven't even thought about that in so long. I totally forgot. No, you're right.
Only because we had to deal with fires nearby. So, and they do those in hectares.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they had a few hectares of land and filled like freaking walnut trees, apple trees, plum trees, apricots, like you freaking name it. They had it. they had at least like 4 or 5 different types of pears.
Jesus Christ.
Like,
yeah, they would have had to have hectares. Like, that's what I was saying. I'm like, no, they have a fruit farm and they're supplying retailers. They got to have the hectares, not acreage.
Yeah. They had quite a bit. They had quite a bit. And then my dad actually talked to them into having like freaking walnut trees too. And I got stories galore about that shit with squirrels. Oh,
I can just imagine. Oh, I miss fresh cherry trees. Not
my
gonna
grandfather literally had a BB gun to shoot squirrels. It was hilarious. He always said that they were like on a freaking work schedule. They came out at two times every day, same time every day, like clockwork. That's what he used to say. But yeah, no, I remember going there, and one of my favorite memories of that. And I honestly felt like I was kind of at my happiest at that point. Mind you, I was very young.
Yeah.
Didn't have a lot of the experiences that I do now, which is why I have a lot of mental health issues. I remember sitting in their backyard because they had a cherry tree basically 10, 15, 20 feet from the house.
Yeah.
Right. So it was in the backyard, and I would sit in that cherry tree and literally sit on the branches and literally just sit there, read a book, and just start picking cherries off the tree. Start eating them. I remember one time though, my sister, who was 2 years older than me, was sitting in the branch below me reading her book, and I would put 5 or 6 cherries in my mouth and eat them, keep the pits in my mouth, and spit them out at her like a machine gun. Right? I remember
Me
that.
and my cousins used to do that too, actually. My grandparents had a big cherry tree in their backyard.
Oh yeah.
We were not allowed to sit in the cherry tree though. We were in trouble if we did.
That was the best part. Are you kidding me? We'd hang upside down like freaking bats from that shit.
We did, great. But we got in trouble. But like,
my grandparents freaking encouraged it.
It was a really old cherry tree. I think it was there before they even bought the house. Like it was taller than the house.
Right.
Like my grandpa could barely ever get the top branches. Like that's how big this tree was. It was huge. But he didn't want us on the bottom branches breaking them off.
Yeah, that's the thing though, right? Yeah.
And we were all young and dumb, so yeah. It survived my dad, so I figured it'd survive us. It's still there. Ironically, it's still there. They don't own the house anymore. They've passed away, but the tree's still there. So
yeah, no, my grandparents sold that house when I was, I think, roughly grade 5 going into grade 6 because there was actually a fire a weekend after I had stayed there.
Oh wow.
So there's a fire in the house because when they built that house, the chimney, when I say they threw bits and pieces of brick and mortar to make the fireplace, they literally threw like chunks of brick in and just slapped it in to make the fireplace. And unfortunately, one night there was a draft in the in the room where I normally slept, and my grandmother was like, sleep in this room. There's a little bit of draft in there. I don't want you getting sick and all that because Eastern European, you're gonna get a cold from the draft, right?
Oh yeah.
So anyways, I was like, fine, whatever. Like I like my room cold, but okay, whatever.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah. So me and my sister stayed over that weekend because my parents were at some function or whatever. It was overnight till like 1 a.m. and they didn't want us staying home alone, and it's easier for us to stay there than find. Yeah. It's easier for us to stay with our grandparents than find a babysitter and all that and have to pay for it.
Don't even get me started on babysitters.
Oh God, fucking expensive, man. But yeah, so the next weekend, it was like that following week. I think it was that same weekend to the next weekend to the day. The fire started because they had a wood burning stove in the basement to heat the entire house. Yeah. And one of the embers licked up into the chimney, licked the drywall, and up it went. So the whole house didn't burn down, luckily, but there was smoke damage throughout the entire house.
Yeah, there would be.
And that entire room was pretty much gone.
Yeah.
So the room was closed, thank God, because it would have been 10 times worse. Yeah. It contained it, right?
Importance of keeping your doors closed when you sleep too. Yeah. Stop telling your kids to leave the door open.
Oh my God, my mom used to do that. Pissed me off. I ended up just closing it, and she left me alone after a while. Mind you, this is when I was younger. But yeah, my grandfather, he actually had Alzheimer's. He passed away last year. He had Alzheimer's, and what happened was, we think it started off with this fire. Reason being, because when he got tested before he passed a few months prior, they said, I think it was a few months to a year prior, they said he wasn't a drinker, was he? And my dad goes, no, he wasn't a heavy drinker. Like, he drank socially, like, you know, a glass with some friends or whatever, right? Like, nothing, not a lot, right? He's like, okay. Was he a smoker? My dad's like, no, he never touched a cigarette.
Yeah.
Right. Like my grandmother literally told me, like, my mom told me that, oh, he never touched a cigarette. And like, so my grandmother, right.
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, yeah, well, it seems that, like, he's showing some symptoms of Alzheimer's, and he almost acts drunk sometimes, you know, because part of his brain is being affected, right? And he's like, it's very similar to people who have Alzheimer's who were alcoholics or addicted to cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then they
revert back it was to that state. Yeah.
It clued in that, guess what? The fire. My grandfather opened the door to that room and decided, I'm going to put it out myself, because old school European mentality, he's smarter than everyone.
Of course.
Right? Let's take a bucket of water and let's put it out myself.
Yeah.
Right? My grandmother shouting at him
do the fucking
oh, it's gonna go fine, right? My grandmother yells at him to get out of the goddamn house, right?
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm gonna put it out myself. She goes down, calls 911. He grabs a freaking pail of water because he's the smartest person in the world, right?
Grab a hose at least.
And
like,
you'd think, right? You'd think.
Well, he's probably also thinking fire, not fire.
Yep. So he opens the door, because obviously there's smoke everywhere. You can see it billowing out of the bottom of the door and everything. So he goes to do it, opens the door. What happens?
Yep, you get that what do they call it?
Introduce
the flash
all
something.
the oxygen. You get the flash over.
Thank you.
So
I was halfway there.
You were halfway there. Half a point for Gryffindor. Actually, more like half a puff for you, but maybe Slytherin. Maybe that's the next thing you should do, is do a Potter quiz or whatever.
Pottermore that'd quiz. Be fun, actually.
You should do that.
I should.
But yeah,
really
so.
Anyways.
Yeah. So he ended up getting, I think, 2nd or 3rd degree burns, like freaking all over, because it just freaking engulfed him pretty much, right?
And at that point, with that amount of smoke in your lungs, you're gonna act like, honestly, I can see him coming across as a smoker then, because if that's when that happened, if that traumatizing event actually kick-started the Alzheimer's.
See, that's the thing.
He's
like,
gonna revert
it's
back
already,
to it.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, it's already in our genetics, like in my dad's line, like family tree. It's already in our genetics. Excuse me, hiccups. It's already shown that there is Alzheimer's runs in our family.
It's a genetic disorder. Yeah.
It's a genetic disorder. Right. And so because it's in our family, my grandfather already had it, but it was like, oh, well, now this smoke inhalation that he suffered is going to impact it even more, you know? So that's what happened, you know? So luckily, he was being stubborn, all the Eastern European that he was, and didn't want to be intubated, basically. So, but long story short, my dad, let's put it this way, persuaded him very firmly.
Yes.
In terms of threatening to go get the priest and my sister and I to go say our goodbyes to him.
Yeah.
And that went, oh, okay. Because if they hadn't intubated him right away, basically, he was going to die, because his esophagus was literally closing up. So he ended up surviving and lived for 5. What are we thinking? 3, 7, 8, 9 more years.
Oh, nice. Hey,
Something
there we
like that.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last, I think, 2 or 3 years though were kind of Alzheimer's ridden. Like
I
it just
understand that actually.
progressively got worse. And it was hard, seeing him go downhill. And it's crazy because like I worked in a long-term care home too. So I was around people like that every day who had dementia or Alzheimer's, and it was like you see them degrading. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard, you know?
You
And
watch them forget who their family is. Yeah.
yeah,
My
I've
grandma's going through
literally
that right now.
seen it. I've literally seen it firsthand.
Mind you, she's
And
99 and now going through it. So
fair enough.
she's
My
going to be 100 next year.
my grandfather was 89. So he was pretty damn close to 90. Like
Yeah.
I would say like another month and he would have been 90. But yeah, no, I remember going over one day, and this was maybe a year or two before he passed. And I remember sitting down. I mind you, when I was younger, obviously I didn't have a beard or any like
Yeah.
stubble or anything like that. But I went over, had a beard and like beard and like a little bit thicker of a mustache, and I had a baseball hat on. He thought I was a family friend of ours, and it was really hard. Like it was
Yeah.
almost gut wrenching because I was like, oh, because he thought I was a
I
family
get
friend.
that.
Because
I get
another
that.
family friend was always wore a baseball cap and he had a mustache, right? So he just assumed, oh, mustache, baseball hat, that's who it is.
Yeah.
Right, not realizing that that's who I was.
I get that because
But
my
then-
oldest is referred to as me often.
Yeah.
So my grandma remembers the 16-year-old me and realizes thinks that she's me.
Yep. Been there. Yeah. And it was the one thing that I remember was really, really hard and really kicked off my depression was actually the week before he passed away. Like in that week that he passed away on a Thursday. I was home for a couple days. I took a couple days off because my dad was like, look, your grandfather's declining.
Mm-hmm.
Just come see him because we don't know how much longer he's going to be. Like, he's probably got a few more months, but like he's nearing the end. Like, there was no plan to have any medically assisted passing away. We'll put it that way.
That's probably the
And,
easier way to put that for this. Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't suicide. It was just like they would have probably, put him down kind of thing in a way. So that week before he passed away, he passed away on Thursday and I went to go see him on a Tuesday because obviously we didn't know how much time he had left. We kind of knew that it was kind of coming to an end because he was really declining. Like he was losing a lot of weight. His face was like practically sunken in, and it was really hard because I had just started a new job back in my town where my apartment is, kind of thing. And so anyways, I took a couple days off, came back to my hometown, went and saw him, and he was very unresponsive, wouldn't say anything, didn't recognize me. Like, as bad as this sounds to say this, he was practically like non-responsive.
Yeah.
I was going to use another term and I decided not to use that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, and anyways, I went back to my apartment the next day so I could go back to work. And that next day after I got back, my mom called me and she was like, hey, like, how you doing? Like, you doing okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, everything's fine. Like, just got off work. She's like, you sure you're okay? And I'm like, okay, what the hell is happening? What's going on? Like I was like a little suspicious. And she was like, okay, like, are you sitting down? And I was like, yeah, I'm at my desk. Why? She was like, yeah, well, your grandfather passed away. And it didn't hit me at first. It didn't hit me for a few days actually. And I think the funeral was that following Monday, I think. and my work obviously gave me time off, no problem.
Yeah.
But it was hard. My depression really kicked in. Mind you, my grandfather wasn't always the best, but I know he loved us and whatnot, you know, but it was hard. I remember being really, really freaking depressed. It was horrible going back to work because I was like, well,
quick question.
Right.
Do you think that because you did get to see him before you got the news that it was a little bit of a less of a shock?
It was a little bit less of a shock.
That mental visual of seeing him in the way he was.
Oh, 100%. Like we knew it was gonna happen soon. We knew it was happening soon. We just thought maybe before the end of this year. We didn't really have like a timeline. It was just like, we know it's gonna happen before the end of the year, right? One, I just didn't think it was gonna be that soon because it was literally like 2 days later. Right? Think about it. And it was really awkward and weird too, because I had people telling me like, oh, like blah blah blah, he was waiting for you, this and that, and I was like, about that, but like at the same time it felt like oddly like almost like maybe that was the case, because like he was like degrading for a long time, and it held on, and then the day after I get back to my apartment he passes away, you know. And it really messed with me when people started saying that too, you know, because I was like, what? Like it felt weird, and it was like almost like, oh, maybe it was my fault or something like that, you know. I got into my
especially when people say that
space there, you know,
like,
because not everyone's gonna headspace.
No one's gonna view it the same. They're saying that somebody say has anxiety and stuff is gonna start blaming themselves, because that's what I would do.
Well, exactly.
Like, and don't tell me that shit.
Well, exactly, and that's kind of what happened, right? Like I started thinking to myself, like, is that true? Like, did I somehow cause this? Maybe if I hadn't actually seen him, maybe he would have lived longer, blah blah blah. And like I realized, like, when you think about it, it sounds pretty fucking stupid, but that's genuinely where my head went. I was like, I don't know, you know. And that's another thing. Like when someone passes away, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's from natural causes or otherwise. I mean, unless there's extenuating circumstances, like it's not your fault. Right. Like you can't control that. You know,
I understand that. I really do, because I don't process death the way most people do. I'm not. People will tell me and I'll be like, okay, like, I'm not going to show you emotion. I'll deal with that shit by myself. I do not show it right off the bat. Yep. I keep it bottled up. I won't. My voice may crack a little bit, but I'll like, not to say it like this, but I'll pull the guy thing and tuck it in, because
I totally understand that.
I have to be the strong one. I have 2 kids. I don't get a chance to be be in my feminism that way and be able to express my emotions that way, because I have to keep it in, because I have to deal with theirs. I have to help them process. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I totally understand that. You know, like I've had 3 people now. Brig. Thinking about it. We're getting really into the deep, dark, gritty stuff right now.
Well,
don't mind it one bit, you know, but hey.
Mental health.
Hey. Well, exactly, right? And so we're kind of talking about this. But there's been 3 people that I've known and that I was pretty close to. One I was really close to. The other one I was pretty close to, and then they moved. And then the other one I had met a little later, and relatively recently. When I say relatively recently, it's been about 5 or 6 years since this has happened.
Yeah.
But the first friend of mine, I'm not going to be saying names here or anything, just to protect the privacy of families and stuff like that. But friend,
and maybe we'll use the word unsubscribed from, if that's the way it goes.
Yes, pretty much. So long story short, this person, like my first friend, she was a girl. She was a few months older than me, whatever. And so we were really, really close friends, like as best as friends could get, right? and I hadn't known her like as long as one of my oldest friends, but her and I were still really, really good friends. Would get bullied a lot at school. Unfortunately, at home, her father was abusive and whatnot. Would basically show up to school with bruises and marks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. Anyways, people would make fun of her all the time because she used to self-harm. I won't go into detail about how she did it, but let's just say marks.
She did. Yeah.
Yeah. So people would make fun of her for that. And I, as a very overprotective person,
Yeah.
I may or may not have clocked the person who made fun of my friend and broken his nose and sent him to the hospital to get it refixed. Anyways.
So you defended your friend because they were being bullied
Well, exactly.
but always dealing with that does not always mean violence, just for young people if you're listening.
And this was the thing, right? And I always say, like, I know that I should not have done it, but I know that I needed to.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. I tried talking to teachers, principals, blah, blah, blah. Nothing ever happened.
See, you went the other routes and nothing happened.
Well, exactly. Nothing came of it. Right. So that's why I kind of just said enough's enough. But that really messed when they left us. Well, we'll say leave us. When they left us, it really hurt because I didn't know what was happening. I remember the next week it happened over the weekend, and I went to school on the Monday, and people kept asking me if I was okay. I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, stop asking me if I'm okay. Like, I'm fine, whatever. Right. And then I eventually got told the news because nobody told me, like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my depression kind of started to kind of come in, because it was a traumatic experience. You know, it wasn't a firsthand experience, but it was still traumatic because I had lost one of my best friends.
You lost someone extremely close to you that you talked to regularly. Yep. Like, that was a big part of your life. I would literally
talk to them on the daily. Yeah. So that happened. And then again in grade 10, another person who I was close with in grade 1 and then moved to, I think, Alberta after grade 1. So we kind of kept in contact, like, once,
as best you can,
once every few months. Yeah. You know, like, we're both in school, kids, different time zones. We're kids, right? We're growing up. We're having our own lives. And I remember getting a text message in class, and this is one thing that really irked me. Got a text message in class, letting me know that this person left us, and you know, like, he's no longer with us. And I was distraught. Like, I was emotionally, I disassociated, which was also a little bit of ADHD, but also my depression. And I just totally disassociated. I was in class. I remember I was in grade 10 history, and I just totally disassociated. My teacher started yelling at me to get back to work. Had no idea what was going on. No idea that I had just received some news that wasn't the best.
Yeah.
And started yelling at me. I ended up just getting out of my class and walked out. I remember, though, that a friend stood up, yelled at the teacher, "You have no idea what people are going through. You need to be more sensitive and off," right?
Yeah.
And then ran out. And I remember I actually had a panic attack. That wasn't my first panic attack. I had panic attacks shortly after my first friend passed, kind of deal. But I remember having that panic attack. I was sitting in the hallway, broke down crying, couldn't breathe or anything, you know. And at this point, like, I didn't have any strategies to help me cope with it, right?
No, you're
so
still
I just
young.
had to let it ride out, you know. I was sitting in the hallway for a good half an hour, just freaking broken down. Ended up getting, like, basically a write-off from the rest of the day for school. But
Good.
it was hard, you know. And then happened again, I think a couple of years later. Actually, I was helping teach, we'll put it this way. I was part of an ensemble, and I was helping teach music and stuff like that. And there's one kid I was teaching, they were actually trans.
Yeah.
Right. From female to male. They were trans, fully transitioned and everything too. Only about a year. So I don't even know if they were really on meds or anything at that point. But
which can be very dangerous if you are under the age and going through puberty.
100%.
Major health risks with that.
Yep. And they were under age majority. They weren't even finished developing. They were maybe 15, 16, something like that. So they were really going through it, you know? And eventually one day they just kind of had enough and they left us, you know? And I remember I was doing a performance. So that happened on a Thursday and I had a performance Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember an announcement happening, like coming out in an email on Friday night. Saturday morning, went to go do the performance kind of deal and had a whole announcement. It hadn't really hit me until Saturday morning when that announcement was made. And basically they're saying, hey, there's counselors here for people who need it. Yeah. You know, if you need someone to talk to, like this happened.
At least, honestly, at least they went through the right procedures by doing that.
Oh, 100%. And
because
I
back
honestly
when I was in school,
that
that would not have been a thing.
No, they would not. And that's the thing. That's why I'm so thankful that mental health really has progressed to where it is now, even though it's still stigmatized. And I know it's moving away from that. I'm so thankful that they did do that, because honestly, had they not done that, it would have been a whole different story. Like a lot more people would have been affected in more negative ways.
Oh yeah.
And it's not that people weren't, but
the help was there.
Well, yeah, I remember having a meeting with other instructors, like the other instructors in the band kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I was devastated. Like they started talking about this and basically saying like, you know, this is what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. This is what we're going to say and all that. I broke down. I ran out of the room. I literally went into the basement of the building and started sobbing.
Like,
well, exactly. I was teaching them directly, like one-on-one.
Yeah. Right? So you got to know them as a human being. Like,
exactly. And I knew they were going through stuff. And I said, look, like anything you need, like come to me, like come talk to me and I will try and help you to the best of my ability. If I cannot help you, I will direct you in a way that I can so that you can get the help you need, you know? And I remember just like the first time, like with my first friend that passed away, I blamed myself. I genuinely blamed myself because I was like, how did I not see this coming? I should have seen this coming. Why didn't I do more? I could have done more. I should have done more. When in reality, there was nothing I could have done.
You know, I do have to say one thing though. I
had to kind of come to terms with that.
Yeah. I do have to say one thing though. The teenage suicide rates now compared to when I was in school are a lot higher.
Mm-hmm.
And there were kids that were not fully accepted back then either.
Yep. Oh,
what
100%.
do you think the difference is?
Oh, there's so many differences.
We had, we didn't have social media until 2007.
Well, that's what I was literally just about to say that is think about social media, think about news.
Well, you're forgetting we had MySpace, we had online stuff, we had chat rooms, we had, but nobody took it serious.
Oh, no. Everybody takes it serious now. You know, all these social media influencers and all that, you know, posting, oh my God, my life is so great. Content creators too. Like, fuck. But,
I had to put some humor in this dark, heavy subject, you know.
Got me there. But, and no, you're totally right. Like, and as much as they say it's worse now, I'm not saying that it isn't worse now. I will preface myself by saying that it probably is worse now. There's no doubt in my mind that it is. But I think it also has that perception of being even worse because of social media now.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more social media presence now than there was like 10, 15 years ago.
Very much so. As someone who can speak on that part, because cell phones were just becoming a thing when I was in high school. They weren't even really. I had the fucking cell phone, man. Okay, like it was this. It flipped open. It had the fucking antenna. Okay, that was the phone I got handed when I went out with my friends.
Oh yeah.
Like. Yep. It's not like what it is now. Like.
Yeah.
And people always gave me flack because my kids have had social media since I could teach them about it. Since they could understand what it is, because I wanted them to be educated about the guys out there that are inappropriate with children. I wanted them to be safe online. I wanted them to have the knowledge and not hide it from them, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to use their friends' phones at school.
Oh, 100%. And that's the thing.
Then I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And it's better to educate them so that they know better how to use it. They understand how to use it, and to make sure that they're not using it in the wrong way. Because if they use it in the wrong way, something's going to happen, and, you know, they're going to deal with a lot of mental health issues. I'm not kidding. Like, hell, I take breaks from social media every so often. I've taken 8 months off. Yeah. 8 months off streaming now. The last stream I had a one-off stream in January. After not streaming for 2 weeks, I did one more stream. I think I streamed maybe one more time after that. Yeah, I had one more stream in May. And
it was just before I started doing the podcast stuff.
Yeah, it was literally right before. Because I had one stream in January, had one stream in May. So I took like a freaking 5-month break?
Something like that, yeah.
And now I've taken another 3 months?
Has it been 3 months? It's August now. So yeah.
Yeah, August, so 3 months. So, and I've taken that time to go back to therapy, really focus on myself. I mean, mind you, I was in therapy like starting in February or something like that.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah. But I decided to go back to therapy because I realized, look, I need help. You know, I can't do this on my own. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not be okay. All right. There's no shame in that. Right. And if you don't want to share that with people, you don't have to.
As someone who doesn't do well with therapy, I've had to teach myself things. And sometimes that means finding creators online that make you think. If something is triggering you, it's triggering you for a reason. Look at why it's triggering you. And
you have to be able to self-reflect on that.
Well, exactly. And the other thing is too, though, is people got to quit being getting offended by things, because I can't make you feel offended. You can make you feel offended. Listen to your own emotions of why it's offending you.
Yep.
I hate that. It's like, you offended me. I'm like, but how? I'm just speaking about what I think. It's my opinion. Yep. How can my opinion change your feelings? No, you change your feelings. You decide if you're happy. You decide if you're sad. You decide this. Yes, mental health plays a huge role in that. Yep. But when you learn the tools to be able to help redirect it, or make yourself stop and think about why that feeling is there and understand it, huge difference.
Oh, it makes the world of a difference. It genuinely does, you know. And like, Anzi doesn't go to therapy. It doesn't work for her.
No,
it works for me.
I've tried.
Like I've gone through 5 or 6 therapists.
Yeah.
Had a few sessions with each. Took me like 6 tries to find someone that I'm actually compatible with and that it works with.
Well, and that's the other thing.
And you're not gonna get it on the first try if you do. You know, it's gonna take time to find someone.
You gotta do the.
It's gonna take time. It's gonna take time.
It's like finding a fucking partner in life. Like, you gotta find someone that's compatible with you.
Yeah.
My problem is I mask too well.
Honestly.
They don't think anything's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I know this because when I can talk to a therapist, when I can talk to on the phone with a therapist though, and it's just a, hey, how's your day going type of thing, I'm done. I'm bored. You bored me to the point where I'm just going to talk to you just because it's awkward silence. And it's not going to be about what you want to hear. And it's not about what I need help with.
Yep. Been there, done that. So it's one of those things that if you do decide that therapy is the way to go, you need to take the time to actually try out different therapists.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same way you'd try out for a basketball team. All right. You're the coach and they're trying to help you.
Well, okay. Or for those single people out there, it's like dating. Really?
Well, there you go. It's like finding the proper partner, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're doing a little dance to figure out if you work together. For me, it's just not my thing.
Exactly. And if therapy is not your thing, okay, maybe you're not a sports person, you're more of an art person.
Yeah,
Cool,
exactly.
that's fine. Right? It's the
And
same it's
there
the
are
same thing.
so many tools out there. YouTube has lots of
Exactly.
actually online therapists where you can just watch their videos about where they talk about subjects.
Exactly. YouTube is great. There are apps. There are
Podcasts.
books, there are podcasts. What do you know? We're doing a podcast right now.
Right?
It's like it was
But-
planned. But
Oh, that's going
But-
into a blooper reel. I swear to God.
Oh, it
That's going to be
should.
like cover.
please do it. Oh, it's gonna be great. But honestly, though, there are so many tools out there. There's really no. I don't want to say. I'm gonna put it this way. There's no excuse.
There is no excuse.
There's no excuse to not get help.
You gotta remember, I'm in the
You
I don't
have
give
to-
a fuck era, so there is no fucking excuse. Get off
Exactly.
your ass and do your shit.
Get off your ass and make it
And I
happen.
know it's harder than it sounds.
Oh my God. It's unbelievably fucking hard. I've been in therapy for how many years now?
Well, and
like,
look at me. I've been
it's one of
struggling
those
for
things.
freaking since I was 18. I'm 35 and I'm just figuring this shit out. It takes time. Mind you,
It does.
in the last 2 years, I finally started to see the end of it. I'm out of a 3-year depression. I actually feel like I'm not depressed. I'm sick, but I'm not depressed. I am genuinely happy with my life these
I've
days,
been
though.
there and I know exactly
But
what you're
it's
talking
like
about.
I'm like I realize my facial expressions are not saying what I'm saying, but that's because I'm actually sick. Like I got a cold and
I'm not
battling internal
depressed, but I
shit.
feel like shit.
yeah, pretty much. But that's
Not
a
like
whole
that,
other thing.
But oh yeah, no, that's a whole other thing.
that's
but
called
yeah, like-
or health problems on top of having a common cold. Like this is
Oh,
the end
exactly.
result of it.
Yeah,
It sucks.
but it goes back to the thing I say this all the time. If you're coming to this podcast because you've followed my stuff and you've heard about the podcast, then great. If you haven't, then you're going to be new to this and maybe you come over and see me, but I'm not trying to self plug here, but I'm just trying to explain about what I'm about to say.
No, you're
I
good.
say the same
You know
thing
that.
at the end of, I know I am, but I always like to just self warn there. But I always say at the end of every podcast, you're special, you're
Mhm.
beautiful, you're one of a kind. Whatever you are going through, you are not alone. I can guarantee you pick 10 people out of a room. 3 of them are going to know something similar to what you're going through, or they're going to have some experience that is very similar.
Oh, exactly.
So at that
100%.
point, well, exactly, right? So at that point, you are not alone. There are people there for you. May not be your mom, may not be your dad, may not be your sibling. Maybe it's a significant other. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a stranger on the street. Maybe it's some stranger you met online and you're doing a podcast with.
Cough, cough.
But cough. But you're never alone. Okay. And there's always someone to talk to. And there's no shame in asking for help. I felt the biggest shame in it for a long time because of all the stigmatism going around it.
Yeah.
Until I realized there's so many people out there that are going through the same thing that I am. Maybe not the exact same way, but they're dealing with it too.
Oh, 100%.
And that helped me immensely. And the last thing I always say on my podcast is make sure to call someone and tell them you love them, because you don't know when you're going to be able to say I love you. Not love you, not love ya boo. No, I
Don't
love
do that
you.
again. Don't do that
I'm
again.
not doing that again. God help me if I ever do that
I
again.
am
I want you to
clipping
shoot
that,
me.
but don't do that again.
Oh God. Jesus Christ, that's gonna be your sound alert now.
Oh,
Gonna
that's a
be my
good
new
idea.
text
Thank you
tone.
for that.
Oh God. Son of-
I actually have my own quote that I love, and it's only because it's like it hits close to home for me, and it's something that my grandfather actually said. and it was in his obituary, which is the only reason why I fucking found it.
Right.
And it's choose to be happy. To look for the good in any situation and let the rest go. Easiest way to describe the best way to get rid of stress in your life and the things that are not worth your energy.
Yep. And that's
And
what you really gotta
cough, it's in
worry
the
about
merch store.
sometimes. I knew that was coming. I
It
fucking
is.
saw
My aunt
that
actually
coming
bought
from
a
a
shirt.
mile away.
She bought 2 of them.
I remember you telling me that, but that's why, like, I've started kind of going by the mentality of, if it's not gonna matter in 5 years, why am I gonna spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it?
Or does
If I
it?
can't, like,
Here's the thing.
why are you gonna, like, try to let go of things? Well, what's the freaking quote now? It's gonna rack my brain, but it's something along the lines of, find the strength to control the things you can and let go of the things you can't.
Yeah. Which
I
is
am
exactly
giving
kind of what I
a
was going to
more
say.
public version instead of a religious version of that, because that's not the actual quote. But
I know what you're going for there. Yeah. No,
you know what I'm going for.
I get it.
But it's one of those things that you're not going to be able to control everything. And
No.
as someone with anxiety who worries about everything, I get it. I get it. It is hard.
I think that the worst,
it's
though,
not easy.
the worst, though, is when people start worrying about things that haven't happened yet.
Yes. Yes. Are you kidding
Stop
me?
it. You can only worry about today. You can't worry about what's going to happen
Exactly.
in 2 days or tomorrow or a month from now. Like, life
It's
is too
totally
fucking
different.
short. Learn to enjoy it.
It really is.
I don't
too
think my
short,
eyebrows
and
could
that's
get any
the
bigger
thing.
on that one. I'm sorry. I looked over at myself and I'm like, whoa, bitch.
Oh, that's perfect. But yeah, no, you can't worry about that stuff, because if you do, you're not living, you're existing.
Yeah.
And when you're just existing, you're not experiencing. You're not experiencing that first kiss because you're worried about, oh, this person's going to reject me. You're too worried about, oh, what happens if I get too drunk so you don't go out? Oh, what happens if A, B, and C because of X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
Right? You can't do that. And it's hard as all get out. It's really, really hard. But
You know,
the
and
moment you start just doing, I
if you're
guarantee
depressed, though,
you'll be
stay
a
away
lot
from
happier.
alcohol, honestly.
Please, yes, disclaimer. If you have
Major.
ADHD, stay away from drugs. I advise you to stay away from drugs in general.
Drugs
But
are
if
bad.
there's medicinal stuff, then okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay,
But-
I'm in Canada.
Yeah.
Pot's legal here. I'm okay with pot. Pot is very helpful for
Yeah.
anxiety as long as you don't get the paranoia
yeah, it
part
is.
of it. I actually recommend
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah,
I use it.
I don't blame you.
I use it to sleep
Yeah.
because my brain doesn't shut the fuck off.
And I get
Next
that.
payday.
Honestly,
Next payday.
totally get that. Me personally, part of my PTSD stuff is it involves marijuana and weed, and, like,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. That's why I don't smoke it. Haven't smoked it in 6 years.
Yeah.
Going on 7 years, something like that.
And that's something that's
So-
completely different, though. So, you know, it
so,
affected
like,
you negatively.
and
There's a
whether-
negative impact with it. So it's like, okay, no, that's going to bring up
Well,
flashbacks.
exactly.
Stay away from it.
So, and that's another thing, self-reflecting and realizing what's going to trigger you or what's going to affect you.
Keyword is
So-
figuring out what's going to trigger you, because if you don't figure that out yourself, how do you expect other people to understand it?
Well, exactly. So it's honestly, a lot of self-reflecting is always a good idea, whether that's writing it in a notebook or just thinking about it. You know, I personally use a app called Headspace. So I know quite a lot of people have actually heard of it. Some people have used it, some people haven't. It's more of, I guess I would say it's more of a meditation app. But it does help a lot in terms of relaxing your mind and realizing that it's okay to have a lot of thoughts, but to just let them go, you know? And I find once you learn to accept your thoughts and let them go, it helps a lot. And I remember one lesson on there when I started years ago. I went on and off of using it, but there was one lesson years ago that I remember that I did in high school. And it said, treat your thoughts like you are sitting on the side of a highway and you're watching the cars go by. Every car is a separate thought.
Yep.
And try not to focus on them too much. Accept each car as it goes by and let it go. Don't try and stop it because it will run you over.
Pretty much. That makes sense.
And
I had to think about that for a second, but yeah.
Yeah. It takes a little bit to think about, but it stuck with me. And I've told some people that, and some people have said that's actually helped them so much.
I can see how that could help people.
So some people,
I don't know if it worked for my brain, to be honest, because for
but
my brain it still goes, it's a fucking car. But
yeah.
see, and like that's
It's
where
one of those
things
things you have
differ,
to
though. It depends on the brain.
Well, exactly. It's going to be different for everyone, and not everything's going to work for everyone, you know? So you have to find what works best for you.
For me, like, I started doing this whole thing where it's like, especially like with stressors and stuff, because my major thing that brings me into depression is too much stress. That's one of my triggers, is letting too much pile on. So I sit there and I actually start sorting in my mind. I'm sorting it. What's important, what I can control, and what's important. And what I can't control, even if it is important and I can't control it because it has to do with, say, other factors. You see where I'm going with that? Like, you can't control things that you can't control. Like, why stress about it?
Yep. Exactly. You have to learn to let those things go. And
I can't control how other people act. Why worry about it? I'm going to offend people, obviously, because that's just the world we live in now.
It's bound to happen.
But
it's this world. That's how it works.
I'm not going out to purposely hurt anyone's feelings.
No.
But I'm entitled to my own opinions as well.
Not many people are, you know? So, and that's the thing, like, you have to speak your mind. And sometimes you have to just not worry about offending people. You got to stand for what you believe in, you know? And yeah.
Not much else you can really say on that, really. Like, that's
like
kind of
really,
like
there really isn't. I was like, what else was I trying to say? And I was like, no,
you said it.
Really it.
Because I find this day and age, people are even content creators are making content worried about hurting people's feelings. I'm sorry. If you don't like my content, fucking scroll on.
Like, yeah, we're not stopping.
I'm not
Nobody's
for everybody.
Here. I'm not gluing your face to your phone to watch my content. Like,
mind you, if you place a comment, it's just going to help my algorithm anyways. But,
Well, exactly.
So. Like, regardless, you watch it, it's going to help me boost my levels. So,
100%.
I'm not going to complain. But I'm not going to get butthurt if you're going to write something negative in my comments either. You're not going to get to me that way. I'm sorry. I'm a stronger person than that. And it's taken me 3 years to get here, so good luck tearing me down.
Exactly. And honestly, like I said before, you really just have to focus on yourself and not let what other people have to say affect you, because only you can control how you feel. Nobody can make you feel a certain way. No, only you can do that. And you just have to be aware. And like I said, self-reflect, be aware, be mentally and emotionally aware of how you're feeling. Do you have the spoons for something? Are you tired? Like whatever it is.
What having can that you do to change it?
Thank you. See?
Because that's things people don't do. They sit and they wallow in it.
No. And
play the victim. Stop playing the victim.
That's one thing that ticks me off.
I can't do it anymore. I've come to see it. I've come to see it now. And like, I used to be that person. I'm not going to deny that. I used to be in that victim role, and I can do it. I don't need a man role either. And women, you understand what the fuck I'm saying, because we all fucking been there. But
Yep.
you need to back up and be like, wait a minute, I control me. I'm not a fucking victim. Take accountability for your actions that you do in your own fucking life.
Exactly.
And there's me slightly heated. And me recognizing it. See, that's how easy
let's
that
be
is.
honest. Let's be honest. We knew that it was going to happen at some point. So
Yeah, and
check off the box.
You've heard worse from me anyways, so you know.
Oh, I know I have.
That's just the tip of the heat. That's just I realize I'm getting there and I need to back it up a bit.
We're just climbing towards the horizon. Oh, okay, let's back off.
Back off the gas pedal a little bit. But really though, like
All
we
right,
live in
Miss
a very
Leadfoot.
victim mentality world. Like it's sad.
Yep.
The world that
There's
we live in.
a lot of people with that victimized mentality. Yeah,
a lot more than there used to be.
unfortunate. Oh, 100%.
And
100%.
I swear over half of it is people just playing it up
Yeah.
for attention. Like not
I've
even gonna lie.
said this before. I've said this before, but some people, when it comes to being offended or victimized, some people have not played dodgeball with rubber dodgeball, and it frickin' shows.
Obviously.
I still remember getting hit in the face by that thing, and I can still taste it.
Yep.
like
The smell has a taste, I tell you.
yeah.
I did my
honestly.
practicum in high school, and I walk into a gym and I'm like, I smell the dodgeball. Like,
You know what I found out not too long ago? Dodgeball is actually outlawed in the states in some states. Yeah, because apparently it humiliates the kids. Humiliates the kids when really that's why we play the game in the first place.
yeah.
But it's,
Realistically, let's be real here. It shows the, people that actually have the proper, manliness or like bravery or, the natural way of life.
I wouldn't even say like manliness even. Like just
I was trying to find another and it wasn't there.
yeah. No, I know exactly where you're going with that.
For like the men though, like like for the guys, it was like, I did this, like
it's just like have that thick skin.
the testosterone boost. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Nah,
Yeah,
literally, that's what it is, and there's not enough of that
honestly.
nowadays.
no, it isn't. And that's like when you say like about being offended and stuff, and it's like at this point I find the younger and younger the generations are, the more they're like, oh well, it's okay, honey. It's like no, it's not.
No.
Oh, it's okay you didn't go get first place. Okay, let me go get your participation from the mail.
Like literally, like I
a
remember when those
participation
things
medal from
actually
the mail.
started to become a thing, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Oh my God. I remember the first time I got a participation medal because we finished 4th place in a tournament when I was playing basketball. Like towards the end of my basketball playing. I look at it in my hands, I'm like, the fuck is this?
Yeah.
The fuck? What are you doing? Huh?
We're
And they're
fourth.
like,
We're not
oh,
third.
it's participation medals so that and people don't feel bad. The fuck?
And then they
Like, what are you
wonder
doing?
why the generations are so lazy with work.
Yes, because you're rewarding them for something that they're not doing.
And then they expect it.
Exactly.
Babying people. Like, fuck.
No. And I also I genuinely think, like, don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of trauma related mental illness. I get that. I understand that. I have that. I get it. But I do
Everybody
find
has it. Let's be
everybody
real.
has it. Yeah, everybody has it.
It's called
I do
generational trauma
recognize that.
because they got it from their
Exactly.
parents. They get it from their parents. It's just going to keep happening.
Well, exactly.
It's just
I
going to
do
be a little
also
different each
find-
time.
Yeah, 100%. I do also find though that if you treat someone too soft, they're going to develop it in a different way.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that like you can't do that anymore. Like
You can still be
we're
a
going
tough parent.
Oh, 100%.
And
You
discipline
just
your
have to know how
children.
to
Talk differently to your kids.
Well, exactly. You
I
have to know how to
fucked
set
up
those
enough
boundaries.
as a parent. Like, fuck, there's no manual. I was
No,
18.
God, no. It's not like the freaking baby pops out of the womb with a fucking manual in hand.
fuck, I
Here's
wish.
how to raise me.
I
If they
fucking
did that,
wish.
that'd be amazing.
Oh my god, that
Oh
would
my
be like
God.
the best invention ever.
Great.
Somebody needs to invent this.
I hope somebody
Okay,
invents
any
that by the time I
therapists
have
out
kids.
there, please make a manual for parents that actually is given to them in hospitals when the baby's born. Because I was 18 and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. And I am so sorry to my children because I know I fucked up. I did the best I could. And that's all I can say because I was 18 and still not knowing who I was. It's taken me till I was 35 to figure out who the fuck I am, let alone raising two other people. Two.
And that's the thing, like, no parent is going to be perfect, and all you can do is just try and do your best, honestly. Like,
But I will be genuine. I was not the best parent, and I will put that out there. I don't fucking care. Criticize me all you want, but I've been a single parent for 16 years. With one of them's 14, one's 16. There's no manual. And when you're dealing with your own depression, your own fucking traumas, on top of trying to be a parent with no help. Luckily, my parents were help. Like, they were the best I had. But even at that, I was still a child. Like, I wasn't fully developed. I wasn't fully I was going through the learning myself stage.
Oh, 100%.
And
that's,
there's nothing there for that.
yeah.
I'm gonna fuck
and
up.
like, well, that's the thing, right? You're gonna make mistakes. It's gonna happen. It's
Every
life,
parent
for
is
God's
going to make
sake.
mistakes. And in general,
exactly.
people make mistakes.
Well, that's my point. Like, as a whole, people are going to make mistakes. It's how it works. And, you know, my girlfriend and I have talked about getting engaged, getting married, having kids. You know, we've gone in depth because we're moving forward in our relationship. And we've talked about having kids before. We've talked about generational trauma.
Yeah.
And I've told her before, I'm worried about fucking our kids up. But at the same time, you have to realize that everyone's going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
We're human. It's human nature. It's how we're made. It's how we're built.
And no
It's gonna
matter how
happen.
many times, honestly, people try to not do their parents' mistakes, we all end up turning into our parents. I hate to say it, but
There is
unless
a way.
you are, you know, subconsciously realizing and you've done the mental work and you've done that work to yourself, is the only time that you're going to be able to fucking look back and not do that problems.
Well, exactly. And that's, again, it comes to self-reflection. You have to self-reflect and realize what is going on, how not to react based on how your parents acted, so that you can break that generational trauma cycle.
Yeah.
Because
Who knows? You might
as
start a
much
whole
as-
new one. Not gonna lie, because a child is always gonna
it's the
find something
reality
that
of
their
it.
parents did that they didn't like. Let's
Well,
just be
exactly.
real.
It's the reality of it, right? And that's the thing. Like, yeah, sure, you will still, like, everybody turns into their parents in a way, one way or another, right? But at the same time, you can also not turn into them by figuring out how to break that generational trauma cycle.
But you have to
But
do
then
the work.
again, exactly, you have to do the work. You have to do that self-reflection. And my girlfriend, like I was saying, my girlfriend and I have talked about having kids. And like I said, I was worried about fucking up. And that's when it really clicked for me, was that I don't want my kids to experience what I have with my parents. And that's when it was like, I need to fix myself. I need to work on myself, and I need to get through it. And that's why I really wanted to get back to therapy. And I ended up deciding to go back onto meds, because I was like, look, I need to fix this now, because if I don't fix this now, I'm screwed later.
Yep.
And because I don't want to put that on my kids, you know, and I don't want my girlfriend, future wife, to not be able to rely on me because I'm having a depressive episode or I'm having an anxious day or whatever. And, oh, I'm not able to help out with the kids because of whatever.
But,
you know,
that also being said is where communication comes in, saying, hey, I'm not 100% today. I need help.
and
I
that's my
can't
next
help
thing.
with this part because of the fact
Yep.
that's the accountability, though. Nobody takes accountability anymore. And that's the biggest problem.
Oh, 100%. And that's my next thing you were saying about I'm not 100%. And you need to have that communication, because if you don't, It's not going to work. And honestly,
and the want to honestly grow together as well.
exactly. Because if you don't have that want, you don't have that drive to be better together as a couple and as individuals,
Or even for yourself.
It's not going to be good, especially as you're like for yourself. And like the thing is, I hear a lot of people saying like, oh, my relationship's suffering. Oh, this and that. I'm so depressed because my partner's not putting in a lot of effort and blah, blah, blah.
But where are you putting in the effort?
Exactly. Where are you putting the effort? And people are always like, oh, well, a relationship should be 50-50.
No, it's 100%, 100%. But if you're needing someone to pick up the slack, you're picking up the slack. Like, that's it. That's how it works.
Well, exactly. I use 60-40 as an example.
Yeah.
For this specific reason. I'm not saying you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You should always try and give 100%.
When you're mentally there and on a good day, it's 100% each person. Let's put it that way. Let's rephrase that a little bit.
Exactly.
Accountability.
I read this somewhere that it's both partners should be looking to give 60-40. Because on those days that your partner's not feeling the best, you're going to have to step it up a bit, because there's rarely going to be days where both people are going to be 100%. Let's be real. It's life.
There's life. There's bills.
Especially with
there's,
chronic. Well, there's
mental
bills,
health.
there's this and that. There's
chronic.
stress.
There's everything. And then
But
on top of that, children.
right? Especially with chronic illnesses. So like it's one of those things that the more you both try to put in as much as you can, the more successful you're going to be in the long run.
Well, exactly.
And that's something my girlfriend and I have realized over the last 3 years that we've been together, is that we've both tried to put in as much as possible, and on days where we can't put in that 100%, the other person picks it up a little bit, because some days it's going to be 70-30. Some days it's going to be 90-20 or not. No, 80-20. That's what I meant.
I was supposed to say,
my math's not mathing.
Math is not mathing today, math. and that's understandable.
Math is not mathing. Well, it's freaking 12 a.m. here, so.
Yeah, it's 9 here. Math does not want to cooperate today.
No, it doesn't.
I get that. Like, it's... we have covered so many topics today. Holy fuck.
We really have.
We've been all over the place, but I'm loving it. We've pretty much covered honestly. Like everything that I have actually made points on, pretty much. Oh, here's a fun fact. Did you actually know that starting your day off with coffee or green tea actually lowers your rates of depression?
I'm not surprised.
Neither am I. I'm a coffee addict. You know this.
Well, did you know that removing coffee and caffeine from your diet gets rid of 100% of your will to live?
I did not know that. Seriously? I was going to say, damn, that explains a lot. I'm like,
no,
I'm
talking
like, IV me with the fucking caffeine. Are you kidding me? Like, no. Like, that's my motivator, man.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? Well, that's another thing. I don't drink a lot of coffee because I find if I drink too much coffee, then it keeps me awake. But as someone with ADHD, because caffeine is a stimulant, I will actually be able to sleep after I have caffeine, because it like quiets your brain down.
Not me.
I have had for people in the States, I've had an extra large Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee and had 2 Monster energy drinks, like the white monsters after.
The ultras.
I had a 3-hour nap right after that.
I wish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard me on too much caffeine.
Oh yeah. Oh, believe me, I know. But see, this was years before I knew I had ADHD, before I even had an inkling about it.
Yeah. So no meds, no nothing. That's just was kind of like a medication. But caffeine was
a stimulant. What is ADHD medication? A stimulant.
Yeah.
So really, it had it up. And now that I look back and I reflect on that, I'm like,
that makes more sense. Yeah.
So you're sitting there like, damn, this was years in the making.
Coffee for me or anything caffeinated keeps me up.
That's if I have it like for like a week in a row.
Yeah.
And I'll have like maybe a cup or 2 a day. If I have too much, it'll keep me up. But if I have like once every few days, I'll be okay.
See, here's the opposite. If I have too much, I'm tired.
Really?
Really.
I'm not surprised by that.
I was a little bit. I'm like, I work trying to fucking drink coffee to fucking stay awake because, you know, graveyards.
Yeah.
But
fair enough.
I was getting more tired because the more caffeine I had, the more I was getting tired. I think we literally. Oh, the other thing we didn't cover though was journal keeping for people with mental health.
Yep. Honestly, I did a little bit of journal keeping here and there. I've actually been getting back into it. Actually,
I need to get back into it. I need to get a new journal.
For me, what I did was I did a lot of CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy.
Ooh, that's really good for anyone with borderline personality disorder as well.
Yep, for borderline personality disorder, anxiety disorders as well. And what my therapist actually had me do was write down when I'm feeling anxious, what I'm feeling anxious about, what is happening at that moment, why am I feeling that way, what am I perceiving, and basically then take a step back and realized, okay, what's actually going on? Like, what's the reality of it versus what am I perceiving?
Yeah.
So say we're talking, you say something to me in some way. Oh, I feel like I did something wrong. I feel like Anzi's mad at me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, realistically, she's probably not mad at me. Maybe she had a bad day. Something happened. Maybe it's just the way I'm perceiving her tone of voice rather than what she's actually saying.
Yeah.
You know? And I have examples in my phone. I'm not going to go through those because those are quite personal. But
then that's perfectly fine, obviously.
Well, exactly.
Personal. There's allowed.
Things like that.
Yeah.
But things like that, you kind of do that little thing. And sometimes you'll have 3 or 4 entries a day. Sometimes you won't have an entry for a week. And I've noticed
here's another idea, though. You know? Is because I was doing some research. Obviously, I told you that I did some digging because, you know, I need the details. I've figured out that that's my communication style. I need details. And if I don't have the details, it doesn't make sense in my head. So I'm recognizing that and I'm learning from it. So I made notes. 100%. But the one thing I did find is actually keeping a journal of gratitude and achievement to help with your mental health.
That does help.
Which helps keep you on that positive track and away from the negative.
And sometimes that's what people need, you know? So
I think everyone needs a little more positive in their life, to be honest.
100%. I definitely agree with that. I totally agree with that. I just found for me personally, again, this is one thing. What works for you may not work for me. Exactly. What works for me may not work for you. Gratitude journals didn't really help me much, but that's personal. That's objective.
Exactly. But I'm assuming you've tried it.
I have. I tried it for a good few months. Yeah, actually, I did.
See, achievement I can see helping me, but
yeah, I've tried them each for a few months, and I found I was just also not keeping up with it. So maybe that's also partially why it didn't really help me much. But yeah, for me personally, wasn't really my cup of tea, and I found it wasn't helping me as much as I wanted it to. So maybe I should have given it more of a chance and stuck to it a little bit more religiously, let's put it that way. But I found personally it didn't help me as much as I think I was hoping.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to give it another shot down the road. You know, I always try something twice. You know, you could always also try. I'm a visual person, so I'm going to throw an idea out there. Maybe a vision board with like goals on it. It's not a bad idea. It's actually really
I'm
not
actually
a bad
looking.
idea.
So there's a space over here behind me. I'm looking to get one and put there, so I have it visually there, so that it keeps me on my track of goals. Bad idea. But that's I want one with really like, you know, the cork board and the whiteboard so that I can put like a schedule too.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's something I'm definitely going to have to think about doing. Because
I'm a visual person. I am very much 100% visual. Like I said, having the notes in front of me, like we talked about earlier, I need that because I'm a squirrel.
Oh, 100%. I am too. Oh my God. How
If
many times have
anyone
I
did
gone
not
off
figure
topic
that out
today?
by this point, we've been recording for 2.5 hours, almost not including
I
the time we
am
talked
not
before that.
saying for someone to start drinking, but there is a possibility that you could take a beverage and see how many times I get off track and take a sip every certain time. Just saying. I'm not condoning drinking.
But you can also do it with water.
Yes. Do it. Do it with water.
Water is healthy for you. And actually, since our bodies are 98% water, drink more fucking water, people. This is your hydration reminder.
I thought it was 70%.
That was 98. Which one of us is Googling?
Yep.
I like how we're both like up on it.
I could have sworn. Oh, 60%.
No, we're both wrong.
Well, 60 or well, one says 70 and then one says 60, so I'm not really sure.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Around 60% of the human body would have water. Hold on. So the human brain is composed of 85% water. That's where I'm getting the high number. The human heart is made up of 73% water. The human skin includes 64% water. The human muscles contain 79% water, and human kidneys are 79% water. So pretty much, add all that together, you might as well be 98% water.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
In my
All right.
mind,
Well,
that's how that translates. Because if I think of it as a higher percentage, I'm going to drink more water.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Well,
It's a good way
the
to think
brain
about
is
it.
pretty much 85, so I'm not far off. And that's the most one of the most important organs other than the heart. So,
Yep.
and the heart's 73.
Heart, lungs,
So,
organ. Yeah, heart, lungs, brain.
Yeah. Need the
Yeah, pretty
brain
much.
to pump the, everything. And, if the brain's not working, nothing's moving other than the heart doing its own muscly thingy, electric.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
But let's be real, we were both wrong.
We were.
We so were.
I'm
We're trying to justify it so bad.
Oh,
I
we
tried.
are. We're like, but I'm almost right.
Oh,
No, we're not.
Jesus.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, no, but hey, it's still a high percentage. We are still mostly made up of water,
Yeah,
especially
that's very
like
true.
each individual part. Like, I wish there was like a better percentage.
I really wish there was.
But I'm just glad I had that little blip on the side that like actually broke it down, so that made more sense in my head.
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool.
That's I did not realize that the brain was 85, just the brain.
Yeah.
So when you're
I mean, I
dehydrated, guys, you're
can't think
delirious.
right.
That which makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that actually makes a lot of sense.
So I've been delirious most of my life. Like,
See, Anzi, I told you to drink more water.
yeah, well, we know how much I dislike water, right? Like anyone who has seen my streams from before, there's a hydrate button for a reason.
Yeah, and she chooses to disobey it, ignore it, and dehydrate instead.
Caffeine is dehydration, guys, by the way. So if you're drinking coffee, make sure you're drinking an equal amount of water. Don't
And
do
don't
as I
use
say,
the
not as I
excuse
do.
that it's- don't use the excuse that it's bean water. Don't use that bullshit excuse. We know that's not true.
My computer almost wore water. I totally took a sip as you were saying that, and I'm going, oh, fuck my life. No, that's me to a T, 100%. Oh.
Uh-huh. Why do you think I said it?
Yep. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I think we pretty much almost covered everything. I think.
Yeah,
I'm trying
I
to
think
like go
so.
over it and be like, other than like, planning getaways and stuff like that, like having like something that'll boost your overall happiness, like something you enjoy, plan something like that.
Yeah, honestly.
Whether it's like going camping, going fishing, going for walks, like something. Plan something that makes you happy to de-stress and shake it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally just did
Honestly,
the arm shake.
something
I
to
really
just
just
kind
did that.
Blooper reel.
Yep, we need some for it.
We do. But yeah, honestly, like, it doesn't have to be much. Even if you're just getting away for a couple days, go for a weekend, go to a cottage, or, you know, just maybe have a staycation, you know, stay at home and plan some fun stuff at home, you know.
Even if it's just
Just
turning off the
kinda
lights and
disconnect
reading
for a
your
little
favorite
bit.
book, like,
Well, exactly. Like, it doesn't have to be anything extravagant or expensive,
or
you know.
plan a getaway with your girlfriends or your guy friends, like
Mm-hmm.
fishing weekend with the boys, or just even going
Yep.
out just to a cabin. Rent a cabin for a
Yeah.
weekend. Get out in nature.
Well, exactly.
Touch grass. All my streamers understand that context right there.
Oh,
Something we all don't
I
do enough.
ever.
Well, I'm hoping once
Yep.
I get the podcast to 450 viewer or subscribers, I can actually start doing live streams from my phone. And I want to start
There you
doing
go.
walking streams because, you know, I am trying to do that, get healthy and lose the weight and be healthier and more
Oh,
active.
that'll be great.
Doing live ones while going for a walk through my town, because I don't drive,
Yep.
so I can't really go walking anywhere else. But, you know,
Fair enough.
there's a giant field. I can go walk laps around it, for fuck's sakes. That doesn't matter as long as I'm out walking.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah.
So,
honestly, as long as you're doing something, it'll be better than doing nothing, right?
yeah, I'm looking forward to more of that in the winter because there's less bears out. And right now, because of the fires, they're all downtown. So walking is kind of like, eh.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, like there's
stuff.
like one not even like 20 feet, 50 feet from where I live.
What, a bear?
A bear. It's been living
Oh
by
my
the
God.
creek for the last little bit, eating the, you know, bushes and berries and. Dude,
Oh,
I have a
man.
hayfield behind me. Like,
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm in the bush.
Fair enough.
We had a mom and
See,
two
I live in-
cubs by the river.
Yeah. Well, in my hometown here, we have some coyotes, so
Yeah, we got those
it's
too. We got
yeah,
wolves around
pretty
here too.
interesting
We
because
hear
we'll
them
see
at
them
nighttime.
literally like it's the suburbs, like literally like no real like proper forest for a little bit, and they will literally just be crossing the street, and we're like, oh, hi.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
by the way, we live in nature. You
Yeah,
may be in the
literally, though.
suburbs, but by the way, there's nature.
I know.
City boy.
I know. You're making me feel like I live under a rock, damn it.
The difference between living in the country and city. Me, I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, there's just a
very
bear
true.
right over there by the creek. That's like on the other side, the other end of the trailer
yeah.
court. No biggie. I let my kid walk to the park. That's like 5 minutes away. But, you know, again, she has a cell phone because, you know, payphones don't exist no more.
Yep. I remember using payphones.
Fucking miss payphones, actually. They were good emergency things, and we always learned to carry money on us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then cell phones happened.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm not lending my fucking kid my cell phone. She does not need to
God,
be in
no.
my shit.
No.
Neither do her
God, no.
friends.
See, what
I
I'm
need
going to
some
do when I
privacy.
have kids, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a flip phone.
Yeah.
It's going to sit on the same place in the counter. And it's only going to be allowed to be used for emergencies or if you need to contact me or mom.
I have a house phone.
Well, we have a house phone too, but I'm saying aside from a house phone, like if our kids are going out somewhere
Yeah.
and they need to call us, there you go. Because not many people have house phones anymore. Because I always used to use someone's house phone to call home or whatever.
Yeah, I know. A lot of
But,
people got rid of those because, you know, everyone
yeah.
has cell phones. But I'm like, yeah, I have a
Yeah.
house phone. People are like, what do you mean you have a house phone? I'm like, I have children. They lose shit. You're going to ask
Oh,
me
yeah.
why I have a
No.
corded house phone? Really?
Hell,
Wait,
I still
this bitch
have
is
it.
on a
Like
cord.
my parents still have a
Like,
my parents still have a house phone, like because I'm in my
hold on.
parents' house, like
What?
in my hometown. But yeah, no, like my parents, like I'm in my hometown, so I'm staying with my parents for the summer. We still have a house phone, mind you. The main reason for it is so because my grandmother from Montreal calls here.
yeah.
That's literally the only reason we have a house phone still is
Mine's
because
for
of my grandmother
emergencies.
because Yeah. My grandmother can't remember mine or my sister's or my mom's phone number. I mean, she has them written down, but she just knows like our house phone off
Yeah.
by heart. So she doesn't have to go keep looking for her book. So she just calls the house phone.
Well, and as we were
So
talking
that's
about earlier
really the only
about
reason.
expenses, sometimes the cell phone bill gets put off because I'm sorry, it's not number one priority for me.
Oh, no.
Hydro and everything. Like, by the way, for American people, hydro is power. It's our lights.
Yes.
It's not water.
Yes.
I can see how it would
We
be
call
confusing.
water.
Water. I know.
Who would have thunk?
Scary.
Oh. And yes, we call restrooms washrooms.
Yes, we do.
Suck it up and deal with it. I'm not kidding. I used to go to Florida all the time. Like we used to drive down when my parents,
Yeah.
well, no, me and my sister were little. Like we would drive down all the time, and I would ask someone where the washroom was. They would stare at me like I had 6 heads. And I was like, "What part of washroom do you not understand?"
It has a toilet.
Oh,
It
right.
has a
I'm in
sink.
this. I was like, oh right, I'm in the States. Sorry, your restroom. They're like, oh, I'm like, oh my god. That's the one thing I find really funny about the States is that you don't understand what washroom means. Not trying to offend anyone or like
No, it's just
make
it's
fun of you
the
guys.
difference.
It's hilarious. It's just a difference, right?
Oh,
It's
the
just
amount
funny.
of differences though.
Funny
It's
that
like,
way.
oh,
It's
and they pick on
astounding.
us for our accents. Are you kidding me?
Oh fuck yeah, bud.
That
for
is
a rip
not
out
how
there.
all of us sound. That's like middle
No,
half.
God no. Are you kidding me? That's freaking East Coast shit.
If we're talking
That's
Newfies,
East
that's a
Coast
whole other language.
Oh god.
That's not even on that spectrum. I'm
Oh,
in a
dude, that's a
town
whole
where
nother
it's
spectrum on its own.
50%. It's 50% Newfies and 50% Dutch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
surprised.
no, it's a fun mixture.
Oh
Parties
yeah.
are very
That's
interesting.
a hell of a time.
You can find the Newfies real quick. Mind you, they're the ones I like to hang out with the most. They're fun.
Yep.
They're fucking they're the life of the party.
One of my buddies / tenants, he did 2 years in the States on a golf scholarship,
Yeah.
and one of his roommates was a Newfie. So every so often when he talks, when you hear my roommate talk every so often, he has like a slight Newfie twang in there.
Yeah, I know
And he
exactly what
he
you're
says
talking about.
Instead of 3, he says tree.
Yep. It's a Newfie
Yep.
thing.
It's hilarious. Yep. It's
Oh,
hilarious. It's the
and
best
for
thing ever.
some fun things for Americans, look up Dildo Canada. Just look it up.
I know what you're talking about too.
It's a town.
So many people are gonna get the wrong thing.
I know.
You're gonna get a dildo with a Canadian flag on it.
Well,
Oh man.
make sure you add town.
Yes.
Yes, add town.
Forewarning.
Forewarning. It's actually a town. Like there's a town in Canada called Dildo. I'm not
Oh my
joking.
god.
I pity anyone that
There's
lives
so
there,
many
honestly,
freaking-
because there's so many jokes for that. So many.
Oh, there really is. There
Where'd you
really
grow up,
is.
Dildo? Oh, we're Canadians are fun. Like
Oh, that we are. Oh,
there's so
man.
much fucked up shit. Like when I go to like other
Oh, yeah.
towns in my province, the
Yep.
names of the towns are streets. I'm not joking.
Interesting.
Like my town is a street in another town.
Interesting.
My hometown is a street in another town. It's weird. They
That's
started
actually
running
kinda
out of
weird.
names for streets.
You think? You
I'm
think?
not joking. I know a town that has like the capital, Victoria, as a street name.
We love that. Oh man. Yeah, I don't think we really have that here in my hometown. I don't think
Oh,
so.
and another thing that pisses people off
Actually,
that
no,
aren't
I
from
have-
here.
Yeah, I have I have a city as one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they usually use the bigger cities, depending on where the
Yeah.
city is. Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just a Canadian thing.
I feel like it is.
I
It's
really,
gotta be.
I do. I feel that way.
Yeah.
One thing I know that drives one of the Aussie streamers I follow nuts is the name Vancouver Island. because he looked it up. It's not right beside Vancouver. It's not like Vancouver's here and the island's here. It's here, and it's an island.
Yep.
Like,
oh, man,
and he's like, hilarious. How did it get its name? Da, da, da. I looked it up and I actually like copy and pasted and threw it in his chat. Like I full out did that.
That's so funny. That's so funny though. No, I understand that wholeheartedly though.
So now when I want to push his buttons, I just type in Vancouver and leave it at that. And I get yelled at every time. He's like, we're not going there today. Da, 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 da.
Oh,
and I'm
man.
like,
oh, that's too funny. I love that.
Oh, yeah. That was good. It was a good time. But I think we've covered everything, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we have. Honestly.
Considering we've technically been on the phone a lot longer than we've been recording, so.
Oh, yeah. We've been on the phone for like, what, 5 hours?
Something like that.
5 hours, recording for 3.
Yeah. Just at 3 hours.
Yep.
So, I think we're going to call her close to quits here. Is there anything you would like to add, though?
I don't really think
anything at all.
Honestly, I'm going to say what I always say. You know, you're beautiful. You are loved. We're here for you. Whatever you're going through, you're not alone. Okay? Whatever you want, like whatever you need. We've got Discords, we've got emails and whatnot. You know, if you don't feel talking in Discords, I'm sure Onzi feels the same way. You can always reach out. But whatever you're going through, you're not alone. Don't ever forget that. Okay? And don't forget to call someone, make sure to tell them that you love them.
And if you have no one that you can actually talk to closely about anything, make sure you hit those hotlines up.
Yes.
And recognize when you actually need help to go get professional help if you cannot do it alone.
Yes. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to need help. It's okay to ask for help. So if you need it, do it.
Also,
sometimes it's the best decision you can make.
Also got a Patreon, so that will be turned into a very, very tight-knit community. And the only way to be actually part of it and part of the Discord for it is to hit that membership. So hopefully that gets going soon. And there will be special lives there as well. So that'll be a fun thing to do. Strictly only for Patreon. And strictly recorded content for Patreon as well. Got all that set up too. That was a lot of stuff to set up. Not gonna lie.
I know.
Yeah, no. So maybe you'll get used to seeing this face on the podcast. Since, you know, obviously we got good rapport back and forth. Today is stupidly hot here today, so I'm like, I'm dying.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that. My house is freaking humid as all get out. The AC is full blast right now.
For those in America, I swear to God, it's 100 degrees just in my gaming room alone because I've had to have the door closed.
Oh yeah. No, if I didn't open my door to my room right now, woof, it'd be up there.
Yeah, I had to close mine though. Children and dogs and whiny and yeah. So that got fucking closed.
Fair enough.
All right, we're going to talk to you guys next time on the next podcast. Keep your eyes open on YouTube, TikTok, Spotify. Don't forget, we have Spotify now too. So all this loveliness will be on there. Bye for now.